Hello everyone. Okay, so this is this is feeling a bit weird, but welcome. Hello watchers. Tell me if you can't actually hear me talk. But if it's all good, then thumbs up. Hi, I'm Naj. Um, Thank you so much for joining me. This is a live stream one shot D&D campaign for charity. Our charity of choice is Girls Who Code. And I'm so excited to say that we reached our goal of $200 already, but we would love to smash that. So anything you can donate is appreciated, even if it's $1, but having you here is already such a gift. So thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with my friends who I kind of officially only met this year in person in Boston. So, and also the vibes are going to be completely different. It's like 6 p.m. in the evening. I think they're in the morning. So we shall see how it goes. Anyway, I am going to hand it over to my capable GM's hands. Um, and yeah, hang on a second. So do bear with me, guys. This is a brand new experience for me, but I'm so glad you're all here. So here we go. Hello.
They eat and how they eat it, and they tell me what kind of things that they would like to do. When success is assured, they just tell me what they're going to be doing, and it happens. Huzzah! If a success is not assured, then we do some dice rolling. We are doing that using D&D Beyond, which is a great tool for online things. So you all won't see the actual rolls, although we'll get to kind of see each other's rolls on that. And yeah, with that, I think we're going to go ahead and get rolling here. Everybody good? We got thumbs up from everybody? All right, thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. We begin our story today in the town of Heffinshire, Connecticut. Heffinshire, Connecticut will not appear on most maps. It looks very much like a sort of northeast Rust Belt town in many capacities. There's not much to it anymore, but on the outskirts is a very large industrial park. And think of, kind of leaning gantries, kind of rusted walls, those old kind of like iron paned, like lead paned windows, most of them broken out here and there, vandalized in a variety of creative and crude capacities, and kind of a gravel lot surrounding it. And to that, though, there arrive 4 cars to join a smattering of other cars that are kind of already in this kind of gravel lot in front of the front door. And so we see embarking from those vehicles are 4 main characters today, wandering towards the front door. It's hanging off of a hinge. Will you describe who we see walking up, we see stepping through the door?
Uh, Definitely a very low riding but very, very beat up car. You see a very short man walking out, wearing one of those sort of like black black jacket, 3 stripes down the side, athleisure situations, walking very tall, maybe 3'5", 3'6". So just walking tall in spirit, if not in body. You will see this man has very, very white blonde hair. In fact, like sort of spiky, buzz cutty situation, because you're going up to a school, you might not be totally sure based on the height and a bunch of factors about this person, if this person is an adult or in fact a student. You can see, again, with the white blonde hair, a little bit of like maybe a mustache, but maybe not. It's like a little unclear. And as he walks through the front door, he removes his jacket as it gets warmer inside, and you see that this is, okay, with the jacket off, you're clear, this is an adult man. This is a swole adult man, just a very small one. He's wearing those shoes that are for running, so they like each conform to your feet. Like he like has toes, his like feet are really big, and he is as he walks in, he again sort of sheds some of that like worry and care from the outdoors. He's looking around, he's looking excited, a little bit nervous, and probably like trying to go walking in with like the purpose of trying to find the main office.
Excellent. And as he wanders through the front door, there's kind of like a shimmer of sorts, and the view that you see kind of from outside the door versus kind of inside that presents to himself is a really kind of well-appointed high school hallway, with it's still kind of like done in sort of a brutalist design, if you will, but just like a very well-appointed brutalist design. And there's in front of him is a security line with a sort of like metal detector, and there is a very bored-looking elf, like kind of lanky hair, kind of like half pushed out of his face, on his phone, feet propped up, kind of security guard uniform going on, and next to him is a tiny bright red, carmine red creature with a long, almost kind of prehensile nose, tiny bat wings that don't seem large enough to like make them flutter anywhere, kind of a curving kind of scorpion tail on the back end, very dexterous and nimble looking fingers and toes that all seem to have too many joints, and it's just sort of murmuring like in a very raspy, like, purses and bags, as that kind of starts out. But with that, we're going to cut to our second teacher as you get in line behind a number of other like what looks like students, perhaps. It looks like maybe one kind of staff member of some sort that's up there. Jaina, will you describe who you see walking up to the door and who you see walking through it?
So yeah, it's a very slender-looking, tall man. Comes out of this very small 1967 Citroen DS. Kind of, it's the kind of situation where you come out and you're like, how did that person fit in this tiny car? And he's about 6 foot, 6'1" very, very tall and slender. Has a kind of a strange feathery mullet out of the back of his head, but you kind of don't really think that is going to be there, considering he's completely dressed head to toe in tweed blazer, tweed pants, tweed waistcoat, very, very buttoned up, and he takes very long, silent strides up to the door. And as he walks through the door, kind of like ruffles a little bit, sheds most of the clothes, oddly enough, except for the waistcoat. Apparently that's a new thing for a waistcoat. Sheds everything and appears a little fuller than the 6 foot slender man that he was before he walked through the door, and kind of comes behind the person who has just walked in the door and looks overhead and looks a little bit impatient as he's forced to wait there.
Marvelous. And then Lianna, who do we see walking up and who do we see walking through?
it's not so much that you see her, but you sort of feel her energy as she's arriving, kind of like a typhoon. At first, a beat up white Prius pulls into the parking lot, and you can kind of tell that, like, maybe this person is not the best at parking, or they just have more important things to consider than parking most of the time. And the driver's side door flies open, and out lurches a sort of dumpy looking woman. She's got her hands full. There's like a backpack situation with plastic bags and maybe like a lunch bag there. One of the giant misshapen bags is probably a purse, but you can't tell. And she's got this forward posture because she's rushing. Her head's down. She's got like that fourth grade librarian haircut where it's this sensible bob just framing her face, but you get the sense that it just that way. There was no care taken to make the hair do that. And she approaches and flings the door open, and you might expect some sort of big transformation as she crosses over the threshold, but really it's just that her skin slightly changes color and turns a little bit green, and her nose, which was already long and hooked, becomes a little bit more pronounced, and she is frowning somehow even more than she was when she arrived.
Marvelous, marvelous, marvelous. And Naj, round us out here. Who do we see walking up and who do we see walking in?
Well, so what you see is a woman with wildly big curly hair that's wild. It's never been brushed. And she swishes everywhere. She doesn't so much walk as she just kind of swishes everywhere. And this effect is kind of further reinforced by the fact that she seems to be covered in like scarves all the time. There's so many. Actually, she just goes like this. And and it's not even her car. Like, she managed to like mooch a ride off someone, so you just get the sense of her just coming out. She's like, okay, bye. And she goes through the door, and she's just got this like look of disdain on her face, like, oh, I didn't really want to be here, but whatever. So as she walks through, she turns into a little black cat, slightly shorter than the woman. But yeah, it's still very much the same vibe. Like, really, that woman was like a cat. So, in human form. So yeah, so this black cat, she's black all over, she's got green eyes, and you get the sense that they go as wide as dinner plates whenever she's guilty. And she's got a little white tuft just on her chest there. And she's wearing very boho / pirate chic clothes.
Marvelous, marvelous. Well, as you all kind of assemble in the security line, you see like a sign, kind of above your heads, that spans the width of the kind of like brutalist hallway, that says, "Welcome to All Hallows Magical Preparatory Academy." So what you all would know, of course, is like living as magical people in an otherwise kind of mundane world. You all are used to glamours, kind of things hiding kind of the magical nature of your secret lives, kind of around one another. What you also kind of would know is that among kind of magical architects, there is sort of like there's a trend. There's been trends in the magical world, because people are much more long-lived, run like a lot longer. Like, generally, they become traditions in some sense of taking kind of the most like decrepit looking outside place and transforming it inwardly. And so you get that sense that trend is very much on point for the school, with the very kind of abandoned kind of murder factory, kind of slaughterhouse look like on the outside. And inside, it's very kind of well appointed, if still kind of very concrete heavy school. Of course, if you think about just the logistics of having a whole bunch of high school students who also know magic, you might understand that kind of like sturdiness would be a factor in terms of like the building construction as sort of necessary. And in point of fact, like as you all have done some substitute teaching in other schools, like that's about par for the course. This does look like the nicest probably of the schools that you have if you've worked at any other schools. As you all kind of meet in line, you all are lined up one kind of after one another as you're waiting for security. Up ahead, there seems to be some sort of like consternation happening. The kind of impish creature is rummaging through a student's backpack and then sticking its like long kind of nose in there to kind of like sniff around, and pulls out this baggie of like purple dust that kind of glitters. It's like, contraband, contraband. And the elf doesn't look up from his phone, just is kind of like reaches out and kind of like gestures, you know, kind of to kind of hand it over. Is like, Margus, you can't. How many fucking times, man? Come on. It's just like every other day. I've got a whole locker stash with this stuff. Like, I can't do it. Why do you keep, anyway? And the student, who is this kind of wayfish looking, kind of like he looks like his skin is sort of like half made of wood, and his hair is mostly kind of leaves. And he just looks kind of like embarrassed, and if a tree could blush, you know, kind of would like be doing that a little bit. But while that is happening, you all run into one another in line, and so I would wonder if you all would greet one another, if you all perhaps had run into one another before. Like, what does that moment look like when you all see one another in line?
Ooh. Well, I think my character would probably die if she didn't get any attention. So I think her first instinct is to just be like, "Hello, hi, how are you?" And, you know, just make a whole show of like introducing herself to each of them. So, "Hello, oh, that's a nice waistcoat. I like that very much. Where did you get that? It's very yeah. And you, oh, I love whatever is going on here."
My character sort of like shakes on his waistcoat a little bit and kind of looks down, doesn't say a word, just continues to stare at his own shoes as if he's heard nothing.
In terms of Mr. Pym, your character is like shoes, since they are like a kind of an owl, a standing owl person. I'm thinking kind of spats on talons, kind of like a situation. Yeah. Would that be
exactly like that?
Okay.
Exactly like that. It's but he's still very proud of how his appearance, and pretty much looks down on the cat-like scarf-covered creature that is currently making an absolute show of herself.
Marvelous. What is how does Coach respond to this situation?
Coach is amused by this back and forth. I think Coach is having that awkward moment when you've definitely met some folks before and you've seen them around and can't quite remember all the names you thought you knew. And so Coach is running up to trying to shake Naj's character's hand and maybe like getting a scarf instead and be like, "Oh, sorry." Like some scarves back and saying, "Oh, hey, I'm Coach Ligamore. I think we met down at the," and then like looks around and realizes maybe he shouldn't talk about the contract worker support group at their collective place of work now. And so Coach like, around, yeah, Mr. Pym and is gesturing at Naj's character, obviously trying so hard to be like, "And your name is..."
Yes. What is my name? Oh, just kidding. I'm Poe.
Oh, yes. Oh, so good to meet you. And then he's looking back at Lianna's character too and says, "Oh, do you need help with any of those bags?" Again, obviously like prompting for name.
My character is really not concerned with remembering anyone's name. She's got a lot of other stuff going on. She definitely does not want you to take her bags. She just sort of gives you a withering stare and is like, "No, I can handle it. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't carry my own stuff, okay?" Okay?
Coach is like going like trying to be a little bit hidden by the scarves.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would say, Naj, let's have the first roll of the game. Let's do a performance roll to see like how distracting the scarf flinging about is.
Okay, all right, here we go. I'm rolling. This is the
You're
first.
rolling.
I got a 14.
14. Moderately distracting is there going to be enough that a 3 foot tall, maybe 3.5 on a great day, kind of halfling could reasonably kind of be obscured by them, or at least perhaps if he's feeling embarrassed at all, his face would be covered by the scarf passing by, like in that moment. The security line kind of keeps inching forward, and kind of at the coach at the front of the line, as you get up to the security guard. If as you go through the metal detector, where there's like a little bowl for like keys and things like that, is there anything that would set the metal detector off as you walk through otherwise?
The things that Coach has on him, he has an enormous water bottle, the one that's like the size of like a gallon that he wears is like a crossbody bag. So he's like thumping that out to like go outside of the metal detector. And he also has powders in a bag. More like protein powders.
Sure.
Like some like mushroom. So he puts those there too, and like kind of, you know, makes eyes at the two folks people through security.
The kind of like imp and the elf. Yeah, yes. The imp just starts like rummaging through your kind of bag, tries to pick up the water bottle and can't, and just sort of like leans itself against it and shoves it across the counter, like is kind of like standing like with its back to it and like shoving backwards to kind of like get it moving until it kind of inches closer. And the guard again doesn't look up from the phone, but kind of maybe just like an eye flick up, and as the imp kind of pulls out these baggies of powders, and it's like, contraband, and the guard's like, "What's your name?"
Oh, I'm Coach Legamore. I'm new, first day.
Let me see if you're on the list. Just sort of starts looking down kind of a list. It's a short list. I mean, like it's, but takes like an inordinately long time to like arrive at the first name Coach.
Yep, first name Coach.
Yep, that's what's on the list. All right. Yeah. You can't bring. Are these drugs? You can't bring drugs in. I know you're like a substitute.
It's all natural. It's all protein. This one's great for your keratin. This one's really good for digestion. This was mushrooms originally, but it's all for immunity boosting. Don't worry about it. All natural.
All right. Well, Pibbles here isn't sure it's contraband, and he's usually pretty good about these things, so I'll just take it at that. All right, follow the arrows down to the office, and Sesta will get you set up with your schedule next, and then calls up Jaina, your character name.
They call me Mr. Pym.
Mr. Pym. Is that like a first name, last name? Let me check the list. Again, the list is very short. It's very clear. Like, okay, yep, Mr. Pym. This is it's a theme today. Yeah, and would Mr. Pym? Does Mr. Pym have any sort of like bag or any sort of like attaché case or anything like that needs to be searched?
It is kind of like one of those kind of very classic looking leather attaché kind of briefcase kind of things, but it's also equipped with backpack type sleeves, but obviously as the proud gentleman that he is, he carries it like a briefcase. So he puts that to the side so it doesn't go through the metal detector, and outside of from his waistcoat he pulls out this most elaborate looking pocket watch. It doesn't look like it tells time in the regular sense, but there's a face to it and there are some dials to it. So he pulls that out. And then also this ridiculously looking quill pen that looks like it could have actually been a part of his own body at some point, but it's been kind of, he's got some engravings and all sorts of things on the actual quill part of it. He puts that aside, and that's all he has to put through the, that's not going through the metal detector.
That's great. Pibbles the imp takes the attaché case and like runs their tiny little talon hands over it. And is like, oh,
No hands. No hands, please. Just it's a very precious heirloom of mine.
open, open.
So there's a little buckle, and Mr. Pym very carefully opens it silently as well. You can barely hear that this thing is opening up, and opens it up, and there's just a flurry of papers in, very very well organized. Just lots of parchment inside the attaché case.
Pibbles kind of quickly kind of rifles through it very professionally. I would add, very professionally. Kind of makes their way through it, and it's like Blair, and like snaps it shut, and kind of gently tries to shove it over to you again. It's a little larger than he is, so like he's kind of like the shove is more of kind of a just a gesture, and you move along, and the guard kind of waves you through. Next, and calls up Lianna's character. Name?
Oh, I mean, it's long, so it's probably on your list as Barbie Cultural, teacher of literature, consumer of chocolate, destroyer of men, feared by all. But it might also just be under bar.
No, they've got the full thing here. I'm glad I can. Wow, that's yeah, that's quite a. All right, go on. How many bags is Barb carrying?
Well, I don't exactly know for sure because sometimes I put some of the smaller ones inside the bigger ones. In these situations, it's like a one personal item, one carry-on situation. So let's see. And she starts unpacking all of them, and there's like, it's like Mary Poppins bag where she reaches into the sort of shapeless black leather thing that seems to be like a purse, but then there's a backpack in there, and then there is actually a small carry-on, and then there's a duffel bag, and then she reaches in and retrieves just an enormous stack of books of the genres that you would expect to see in like ninth grade English class. Like Wolf, Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, just like a bunch of different ones, and papers are sticking out of all of them. She's like, I'm sorry. It's sometimes it takes a while. I like to be prepared. And so eventually, after she's retrieved all these bags from inside that one bag, and then she's put down her lunch bag, she turns the black bag over and shakes it, and a bunch of like Nature Valley bar crumbs just out all over the table. She's like, sorry, I have snacks if you're hungry. I like to snack.
Pibbles, the imp, sort of like cracks their fingers, kind of flexes them a bit, and then dives headfirst into the series of bags, just jumping into them fully.
Careful!
Kind of rummaging around, comes out at one point wearing half a sweater, like just kind of keeps like kind of making their way through until they get to the end, and then sighs, and suddenly has like a small like cigarette in their hand, like smoking, and the security guard is like, Pibbles, no, man, we can't smoke in here. We talked about this.
Barb's like, did you get what you needed? I'm happy.
Clear. And kind of watches you as you kind of like pack everything up and kind of what you said. And then Naj, your character kind of wandering up, and Poe, and the security guy's like, name.
It's Poesi Intan, but you can call me Poe. And she, so basically she has like this tote bag which probably hasn't been cleaned out in years, and there's just all sorts of like shiny trinkets in there, and like fidget toys and like jewelry she's forgotten about. Probably more than a few like lottery tickets in there, and things like that. So, is there anything metallic in there? Your guess is as good as mine.
Sure. Anything metallic on her body as she passes through the metal detector that she forgot to unpack?
Well, probably one of the scarves that has like, it's like belly dancer style kind of like jingling thing. But yeah, that's probably it.
So the metal detector kind of like, and Marcus still kind of looking at the phone. Not Marcus, but the security guard is like, put whatever it is in the bag, and watches kind of as you do that. Pebbles starts, kind of like rummaging through again, kind of emerges like at one point with like rings on all their fingers,
Hey!
goes back in, and then jumps back in, kind of like sets everything back right, and then jumps back out and is like, clear, and you get kind of motioned forward. You all then kind of head down this hallway, which the kind of there's almost kind of an optical illusion where like the hallway sort of seems to go on forever, but there are kind of a series of like kind of glimmering arrows that appear in front of you that seem to kind of guide you down it and around some turns, and like and then you eventually arrive at the school, what appears to be the school office. Sitting behind a desk, there is a very kind of effete and well coiffed young orcish person. They have kind of very kind of dark, almost kind of velvety green skin. They've got just pure black hair, kind of shaved up into a kind of an undercut, and a little bit longer in the front. Their tusks have some kind of rings, kind of like stuck onto them in a way, like and they have like kind of a smoky eye kind of going on in a sense, and they look up from something that they were typing on the computer, and they're just like, oh, welcome. I'm Sesta. I'm the administrative assistant here for Dr. Thornfellow, and then school admin. We all wear a lot of hats here. I believe you would be our substitute teachers for the day. Would I be correct in that supposition? Excellent. What? Look, I will get your schedules and classroom assignations prepared for you. And Dr. Thornfellow just wanted to have a quick word. Dr. Thornfellow is the school administrator. So if you'll just go right through that door, and so there is a kind of a large kind of glass door, like with a deep kind of twinkling purple tint to it, that has like a handle that is like this ornately carved skull, and you open the door, and there's just sort of like a remarkably regular looking kind of school administrator's office in some ways for such a lead up, a little anticlimactic in some sense. Some certificates on walls. There's a small, the only thing that kind of stands out is in one corner there is a small shrine that seems to be kind of an altar of some sort. The top is kind of like a weathered stone at odds with the other kind of fairly modern accoutrements of the office, stained red in kind of one portion of it, with surrounded by various objects. But outside of that, small kind of religious bit of faff. There is the desk, and behind the desk is a sturdy-looking woman. It's kind of indeterminate age. It's very difficult. Like, her skin is very, very smooth, very kind of like stretched tight, almost like is what it kind of looks like. Her hair is curled and curled but very tight against her scalp. And her eyes are kind of like a well, let's see. Let's have everybody roll a perception check. So if you look on your character sheet, and you will see perception is one of the skills there, in that middle long column.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody roll and tell me what you got.
I got a 13.
Okay, 13. It looked like Coach got a 16 there. Let's see here. And if you need any help finding where it is on the sheet, let me know.
Mr. Pym got an 18 plus 3.
That's 21. Okay.
Ooh.
And then Lianna, do you need any help finding the perception, or did you find it?
I just rolled the regular D20. Is that
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, that's all right. If you scroll down the page a little bit, there's that long middle column, and there
Yes.
are skills on
Yes.
that. One of those skills is perception. So
Okay,
just click the number there.
Rolled again. 8 + 1, so 9.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Nobody except Mr. Pym notices this, but in point of fact, I think Barb is really distracted by something in the room. There's something in the room that's really distracting Barb. But Mr. Pym would notice that this woman's eyes look for a moment just like a regular, fairly piercing green eyes, but there's just a quick moment where instead of eyes, there are just sockets with green flame flickering kind of in them, and then just for a moment, and then goes away. It'll be good.
And Mr. Pym sees this.
Yeah.
He kind of takes a second to blink. It's kind of like he looks at it thinking, did he just see what he just saw? And thinks he never second guesses himself. Of course he saw what he just saw, but notices that no one else has also seen this, and is quite proud of himself that he is the only one to have seen what he saw.
Excellent. Just a smug moment for Mr. Pym.
Yes. Yes.
is what I'm hearing. That's great. She rises. She's probably taller, probably like around 5'10", so like a pretty tall, kind of sturdily built woman. She is dressed kind of impeccably, kind of in a pantsuit, and that is kind of a dark red in color, and just welcome to All Hallows Magical Preparatory Academy. We're so excited to have you here today. Of course, Sesta is preparing your schedules, but I, of course, am Dr. Thornfellow. I'm the administrator of this fine magical preparatory school. We're so delighted that you all are here. We do have a small change. I just wanted to note to you up front to welcome you, but also to let you know that we are a bit short-staffed at the moment, just a bit, and so you may be covering some classes that you might not normally cover, and so the lesson plans left for you. You should be perfectly fine. And for our substitute librarian, we might have a few additional tasks needed. But I assure you, I'll work it out with. Make sure that you all are compensated appropriately for it. There must be a bit of an illness going around, and so we're just all the usual staff are out today. So with that though, welcome. Do you all have any questions for me? Anything that I can help elucidate before you meet with Sesta and get your schedules?
Mr. Pym looks at Dr. Thornfellow and kind of leans in a little bit. He's a little bit taller, and asks, will I have to talk to children?
Well, you are going to be a librarian, and there will be children checking out books, teens. So I don't know if that is a delineation that means anything to you, really. But they're a bit older, and I do think that perhaps yes, you will. I mean, you will be. This is a school. I hope that was clear from the advertisement.
It was clear from the advertisement, but typically as a librarian, I have minimal interaction with any sort of childlike beings. So I just want to make sure that my skills are well matched with the task at hand.
Well, I will say that the library is not seeing the traffic that it has perhaps in the past. We've made a number of important policy changes, and so I will say that perhaps the majority of your work today might be in securing certain tomes and making sure that access to them is properly regulated. So, in that sense, your interactions with the children might be minimal. I can't stress enough, though, this is a school and this is a job at a school. So forgive me if I've overspoken there, but does that seem clear?
Yes, that's very clear. I'd like to be very transparent with where my skill set lies and what I actually like to do. So kind of Mr. Pym then just kind of leans back and he's got some feathers that sort of ruffle a little bit just outside of his waistcoat. So you don't see them in full, but you can kind of just see a little movement back there. But he's somewhat satisfied with the answer that Dr. Thornfellow has given him.
Marvelous. Are there any other questions that I could answer? Oh, yes.
Barb raises her hand and kind of has a sly look on her face and says, "Oh, yes, doctor, just a policy question. You mentioned some policies have changed. What is the policy on sending your entire class to the library?"
Well,
Out loud.
I would say that you do have a remarkable amount of autonomy when it comes to what you choose to do the class, as long as you're following the lesson plan left by the previous, left by the school. I think we did have to do some updating of lesson plans. So if that seems an important part of the learning experience, and as long as it's done in an orderly fashion, we do everything in an orderly fashion. I actually petitioned to have that as the tagline, in an orderly fashion. I didn't go through, but I still have some hopes.
Okay.
So yes, and it's Barbara. Is it Barbara?
No, well, it's Barbie Carcheron,
Oh no!
Yada yada. But Barb is fine. Yeah.
Barb.
Throughout this entire conversation, Mr. Pym is giving Barb the biggest and least obvious side eye possible, just shaping her up in his mind as like, nope.
Side eye from an owl also feels like it might involve like some neck rotation in some sense. Like,
Yeah. So he thinks he's being very unobvious, but really the whole room is reading what is going on here.
Yeah, that's great.
She's more amused by this than anything, and just starts sort of chuckling and says, like, "Oh, it seems like I've ruffled his feathers a little bit. Sorry, Pin."
Well, and excellent questions. Anything else that I can help illuminate for you all before you go on to class? It is getting about that time. Oh yes, Mr. Legamore.
Yeah, you can just call me Coach. Dr. Thornfellow, what kind of illness is going around? It's always best to be prepared, and you can see Coach is like a little anxious, and he's reaching in his bag for some of his many powders.
Just a flu, I think. Like a certain flu. I assure you, we've magically cleansed the classrooms and premises to avoid any further outbreak. We think perhaps it happened at a faculty party. Not one I was invited to, but that's neither here nor there. Yes. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, Coach seems satisfied by that, but is also getting a bunch of like obviously homemade tablets and like putting them into his enormous water bottle to make him like some sort of vitamin C situation.
So good. Marvelous. So do we have anything else? Are we all ready?
Poe didn't catch any of that. She was just sort of skirting around the edges of the room, seeing if there was anything interesting or shiny or...
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you like to roll a perception check to see if you notice anything interesting or shiny?
Sure. I got a 16.
Okay. Well, what Poe would notice is that there are a number of kind of like shiny objects interspersed amongst bookshelves. Most of them appear to be gilded bones of various sorts and of various provenance. And so that's like everything that you see that's shiny are gilded bones that are just sort of like scattered among the actually like they're not even like scattered randomly. They seem placed in kind of a very deliberate manner as small, kind of conversation pieces or, things like that.
Oh, and then Poe just says, I don't have a question, but you sure have a lot of bones.
Oh, you noticed. Oh, thank you. We are, of course, famed at All Hallows for our necromantic arts program, and so I myself was a graduate of that program in the past. And what you see here, now that was the very first cat I ever raised. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Well, first animal I ever raised on my own, as she indicates like a small spine, like with these ribs, kind of like kind of draped across a thing. Um, and in point of fact, my second cat that I ever raised, and she uh, says Belvedere, Belvedere, and coming through like a little like push door in the corner, like a little flap door in the corner, there's this little tiny skeleton cat that wanders into the room with this like elaborate collar, with this kind of tiny iron bell on this like collar that's like the collar is leather. It's a very pale leather. It's a very pale leather, and then a tiny iron bell. It makes a like it moves its mouth as though it's meowing, and you don't hear it, but you feel just a sense of unease wash through the room when it happens. That'd be good. That'd be good. I'm very sentimental in some ways. Come here, Belvedere. And the cat, kind of click clacks its way and jumps up on. Nope, not on the desk. But she like kind of picks it up, and it kind of curls up on her shoulder, which is fairly broad, and yeah, and just is kind of like looking around and starts kind of. Again, kind of moving like it's grooming her hair, but nothing is happening. There's no like tongue or anything. Just like the head movement is the same. It'll be good. Yes. So yes, a lot of bones to remind me that learning is always so important. We must remember even the incremental victories are very important. Wouldn't you agree in education? Yes. Well, with that, I think it's time that we got you to your classrooms, and so ushers you out, and Sesta is there. Um, I hope that Dr. Thornfellow was able to answer all of your questions. And yes, as she mentioned, we are running a little short-staffed today. So, yeah, let's get you all to your classrooms. So first, Mr. Pym, here is your schedule. Really, it's just in the library today. But we'll have a number of tasks for you kind of once you're in there, and here's a little map to it as well, or at least this will illuminate the arrows for you as you go to the library, and hands you kind of this piece of parchment then that has like a sigil of the school kind of crest in one corner, kind of a printed out kind of schedule typed on this letterhead, and again kind of glimmers, and as you kind of wave it, if you wave it kind of in a direction, an arrow kind of pops up on the floor to kind of show you the way. It'll be good. Coach, we've got you here. We've got you teaching, of course, physical education, and also we need someone to cover history today. So there's a lesson plan. You should be fine. You should be fine. Yes. Oh, Ms. Intan, Ms. Intan. We've got here. We've got lovely. We've got you on, of course, our music and choir classes, and we also, music, as we think, is also just a form of kind of mathematical notation in some senses. So we do have you on algebra today, just to kind of help cover that. But you'll be fine. Again, lesson plans. You should be all good. And then yes, the destroyer. Oh, Barb, you said Barb. All right, so we're good. Here's your literature classes and the maps to them, and then we also have some small need of coverage in some like alchemy classes as well, just to kind of cover those bases. So should be easy, should be good. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you need anything else, I'll be right here. But just head on to the classes, and you should be good.
Just last question, since you mentioned I'd be doing alchemy. What is this school's insurance policy for student injury?
Oh, the liability insurance for this school is quite robust, and yeah, Sort of has to be with magical high school. Everyone's getting into trouble. Everyone's blowing up things and raising the dead, and ensorcering common everyday objects. I've lost so many staplers. I don't even keep them on my desk anymore, honestly. Yeah. So does that? Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Then no more questions. Thank you.
Marvelous. We'll get you to classes. You have about 10 minutes to get there. You should be fine. And I'll kind of ushers you off. You all kind of head off, kind of in your various directions. The arrows kind of leading you like through the hallways, which always seem, again, kind of like mildly endless. But then before you know it, you're kind of arriving in front of a door of sorts, and head into your respective classrooms. We'll start with Poe. Poe, in your classroom, the first class is music, music education, and something you see is like, one is this room seems pretty stripped of assets. Like it's a really bare bones. It really kind of highlights the brutalist architecture in some ways. What you find is a desk. There's a box of recorders on the top of the desk, and then there is a like a lesson plan that's been laminated, so like it's clear that it doesn't change much.
Okay.
And it's just instructions on how to teach these students the All Hallows song, kind of creed and song on the recorder. Like that's the only thing that's in there. And so it's clear like that of the funding that this school gets, the music program is not top of that list. Some of the recorders are chewed on. At least one has been whittled into a shiv of some sort. There's some that have been decorated very, I might say, imaginatively by the students, for anyone who might decorate how you might think a high school student might decorate a long, narrow object. So that's kind of where we are. The students start filing in, and the first thing that you might notice about the students is they're remarkably quiet, and kind of they aren't causing kind of a much of a ruckus. Like there's some murmuring like between one another, but they go kind of quickly and quietly to their assigned seats. And along with the student comes in another adult. This is an adult dwarvish woman. She's got kind of bright red hair, kind of curled but pulled back into a kind of a bun. She's got a very kind of like curly, silky beard that looks like very well kept. And she comes up and says, "Well, hello. I'm Ms. Abernathy. I'm the parent teacher's aide in for today, and just wanted to hang. I'm just going to tuck myself in a corner. Don't mind me at all. I just brought my knitting here," and like pulls out like this knitting from her bag. And I'm just here to help out if you need anything. But yeah, we have a very involved PTO here at this school, very involved. And I just love being able to volunteer in these classes. So don't mind me. I'll just be here in the corner. And so Ms. Abernathy, kind of tucks herself in the corner, brings out her knitting and starts to clack, 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 kind of like almost kind of in a metronomic sort of way. What would be the first thing that Poe would do in this particular situation?
Okay, so Poe fully thought that it was just going to be her and the kids, and she was just going to be able to relax and slack off a little. Has Poe ever taught music? Has she ever learned music? There may have been a bit of fudging on the application for this job, and it seemed like they were pretty desperate to hire people. So I don't know if there's some deception shenanigans that needs to happen.
I mean, I think so. Well, first I would say, like, does she introduce herself to the room? Like, how does that go?
Yes, so, hello, children. My god, you're quiet. I'm Poe. Don't ever call me Miss Intan. It just makes me feel very old indeed. It's very lovely to meet all of you. And, yes, so, well, it looks like we have a parent here, which is nice. Say, how about all of you show me what you've been learning so far?
That's great. So you kind of, Ms. Abernathy does take a moment to help you pass out the recorders. Um, when she pulls out the one that like looks like it's been whittled into a shiv, she kind of tisks and kind of like sets it to one side and passes out kind of the rest of the recorders, and then goes back and sits down and starts getting in click, 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 and there is the students start in on the recorder in trying to do the kind of All Hallows song, much like kind of a poorly done Happy Birthday song, like where somebody starts too low and too slow and it becomes a dirge really quickly. All Hallows theme song is already kind of dirge like it and this is just sort of like a cacophony of off-key recorders happening. They're all doing it. They're all participating in a very kind of obedient fashion. But it is a caterwauling of sorts of recorders as they try to practice that. Then they kind of get to the end of it, and the room again falls like kind of uncannily silent as they sort of like all kind of set down the recorders, and in the back you just hear that continued like click, click, click of the knitting.
So Poe has extremely keen hearing, so this was really quite the experience for Poe. So Poe the whole time is just like, oh, that's very nice, children. So and he was like, wow, that's great. So how about, there's so much more to music than recorders and the school song. So how about I teach you some of my favorites to sing?
At which point, Ms. Abernathy kind of you hear the needles stop for a moment, and she rises and comes over. Now, I'm just the teacher's aide, but I do think you've got the lesson plan right there, and it seems like maybe you should just follow that. We don't want to go off script too much for the students, so maybe if you could just stick to that. And she looks kind of at you expectantly to see if you are acquiescing or not.
Okay, I'm going to have a quick scan of the lesson plan. So question, does the lesson plan seem boring to Poe?
Yeah, her eyes glaze over. Her eyes glaze over like halfway through. And again, a laminated lesson plan means like nobody's touched this in a long time. Like this is like, yeah.
Oh, well, Miss Abernathy, the problem with this lesson plan is that it's boring. So how about we do something else? Just cheer the children up a little bit. It seems a little dead in here, doesn't it?
Well, it seems very orderly to me, but I like a well-behaved student, learning their songs. But go ahead and roll a persuasion check. Let's see how far you get with her.
Okay, sure. I got a 2 + 5, which is a 7.
She just sort of taps the laminated card with one of the knitting needles, which you see look like they're of kind of like an alloy that you haven't seen before, and taps on that card. It's like, let's just stick with what's on here. So just another 30 minutes or so of practicing the school song. They'll get it one day. I know they will. And then we can just move on with our lives. How we say that?
So Poe just like huffs a bit, but she's also Abernathy. There's just something about her that just really is so off-putting to Poe.
Mm-hmm.
So she just kind of goes along with it. But is there a way that she can kind of secretly stuff something in her ears just to save her hearing a little bit?
Absolutely. Let's see it. Let's do a sleight of hand check and see
Okay.
like if we're able to kind of like do that effectively.
Oh god, okay, here we go. Hopefully we can save her her ears. So it's an 8 plus 5, which is a 13.
That's fine. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, like amidst everything, you just see kind of Ms. Abernathy like in the corner, click, 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 with the knitting, and then she doesn't really look up as long as like the students are kind of doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing, and you can quickly stuff some things into your ears without anybody seeing. Yeah, and it'll be good. And so the class goes on, kind of from that moment. From there, we're going to skip to another one of our folks. Let's see, Barb. Barb makes her way, and her first class is Introduction to Literature class, and she enters. This is another one that the room is like well kept. It's not as bare bones as the music room in some ways. Remarkably few books in it for it being like an English classroom, and again the students kind of file in. Like this one's got like it's still mostly quiet. There are a few students that seem a little like restless, kind of in some way. Like they kind of keep kind of like they're kind of twitching or kind of like a little jittery, like they've had too much caffeine, and a couple who seem kind of like a little like the eyes seem like a little glazed over in some sense. And along with the students comes in his a there's a kind of a clump, plimp, plimp, clump, climp, clump, and this like if you took like a Shetland pony but made a centaur of it, is a woman, little Shetland pony centaur comes into the room. She's got kind of a long blonde braid, and is dressed in kind of like a for the human kind of portion of her, is dressed in just kind of a nice button down blouse with some some pearls around the neck, and like a gold tennis bracelet. And she comes over, and she says, "Hello, I'm Ivanka Shin, and I'm your parent teacher aide. I'm just here. I'll be in the corner. Don't worry about me. The lesson plan is before you, and you should be just fine. I'm here to help pass out the tests or the quizzes and whatnot." And then she kind of parks herself kind of in the corner where there's this kind of slightly taller desk that she can just kind of like rests on, and she takes out her phone and kind of like settles in. Yeah. What does Barb do?
Barb is polite but reserved. Barb was unaware that she would be being babysat by a horse, but doesn't want to be horsist. She realizes that's not a great impulse. That's not a good look on her behalf. So she's just going to go ahead with the lesson plan, which doesn't really say much. It just says sit quietly and read. So she sort of waves off Ivanka Shin.
Ivanka Sheen. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Ivanka, she waves off Centaur Ivanka and then takes stock of the classroom.
Yeah.
Says, all right, just show of hands. How many of you can read?
Everyone like raises their hands very obediently and quickly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then she says, okay, but how many of you can read and like to read?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have you roll an insight check. So that'll be again in that middle column there, and just a little ways down.
8 plus 3, 11.
11. Their hands raise, and they seem very sincere. To your eyes, like they all love to read, as far as you can tell. Yeah.
Okay. She looks around and she's looking for any kind of bookshelf. There's a couple of those posters with the reading is great and reading is part of your spell work kind of poster, motivational poster situations, but there are no books.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say, yeah. Well, so what you would find is, yes, it is like read from the approved book list,
Mm.
and then with a pop quiz at the end is the entirety of kind of the lesson plan, which is not laminated, but is looks like it was written out by someone with excellent calligraphy. Honestly, like it's very fancy. And the approved book list is um, uh, it's a series of uh, nonfiction instructional tomes on like magic, and a memoir of uh, Dr. Thornfellow. So like it's like not even literature. Most of it it's like kind of like instructional volumes on how to behave as magical citizens, and then this memoir, and that's about it on the list. And you do find a stack of each of those in the room.
Okay. Barb is not jazzed about this. She can't see how you could spark young minds with this kind of really boring, banal kind of reading material. So she sneaks a look at Ivanka in the corner, who appears to be engrossed in picking things out of her hooves.
Mhm,
You know,
yes.
you gotta curry the hooves a little bit to keep them
That's true.
looking nice. And so she whispers to the students to get a little closer to her, and she says, "You want to read something better?"
All right. With that, then I'll need you to make we'll call it. I'm going to call it a stealth check
Okay.
to see if you can do that without arousing Ivanka's suspicions.
15 plus 2, so 17.
17. You are able to very quickly and very quietly distribute some books, some non-listed books, to the students without Ivanka noticing. Who does seem she was first kind of engrossed in her hooves, and now is like just sort of staring into her phone, and animatedly kind of like typing into it.
Yeah.
The question is, what sorts of books are you distributing? Are they all the same book? Are they different books? Yeah, I'd love to know a little bit more about what kind of books that Barb would think would spark young minds.
Well, Barb, as you know, has brought an enormous number of books with her just to sort of cover her bases. And she's got the classics, she's got some, Shakespearean plays, she's got Beowulf, she's got The Great Gatsby, she's got Mouse, if they want to explore the graphic novel sort of contemporary side.
Yeah.
She's got a couple more, Herman Melville kind of Bartleby the Scrivener type stuff. She's really got an array. And so she decides that she will have the students line up, and she will just quickly size them up and then hand them a book based on her observations, maybe a couple questions for each student.
I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, she's able to do that kind of all kind of in front of Ivanka without Ivanka noticing. Who's a little like self-absorbed in some ways. Does not seem as kind of keenly eyeing as Ms. Abernathy was in the music room, and get those books out. And so the students, kind of begin to read something that Barb would notice as the students start to read these non-listed books is some of that like jitteriness that you saw from some of the students earlier seems to be spreading in a weird way. They're becoming more animated, like a little bit as they're reading. Not all of them. Like some of them seem like sort of so docile that they just like can't be kind of moved. But like some of them are definitely like kind of seem a little bit more animated as they're getting into it. Is what you would notice offhand.
Okay. Barb wants to know if someone has enchanted her classroom, because
Sure.
enchantments can affect everyone differently. And some people they can
Mhm.
have more of that soporific effect, and in some people they can be sort of agitating.
Yeah.
So, does Barb have any spells that can reveal enchantments?
Sure. So you could cast detect magic. That would be like a spell that would kind of reveal kind of like magic that's kind of around, or that might kind of illuminate that a little bit potentially. The the question would be like you're having to cast that. There's like kind of a ritual to it that you have to kind of do that. If you're going to do that, and not have Ivanka notice, I'll need either a sleight of hand check or a stealth check from you to see if you're able to do that without her noticing. Well, unless you don't care if she notices.
Well, I think I can cast Fog Cloud over Ivanka.
I mean, you can. She will notice that. She will and it will hide. It will absolutely hide what is happening from her. In a way that she will absolutely know that that someone. So she may not see you do it. Someone has hidden that. Would you like to do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So, tell me what it looks like. Tell me absolutely what it looks like when Barb casts Fog Cloud. What is this? How does it appear? What is it? The texture of it like? Tell me all about it.
Barb is very chill about this. She just sort of turns her head to the side and points her face toward the corner where Ivanka is sitting and takes a deep breath, a surprisingly deep breath. You would think that eventually she would hit the bottom of her little goblin lungs, but apparently there's a lot of room in there, so it just keeps going and then when it comes out as fog and it directs itself in a tight stream straight to Ivanka where it sort of blossoms around her. And you can just see Ivanka's face sort of look up and be confused for a second before she's completely obscured.
Yeah. So there's a clomping as she is kind of dancing around nervously trying to figure out where the source of it is. Now, I will say in a magical high school, many times there are it's not unusual for from the schools that you've worked in before, for a student to cast an occasional spell as kind of a gag and things like that. So with that, under the cover of that fog cloud, you go ahead and cast Detect Magic. There is kind of you do this kind of ritual as an order of a scribe, which is kind of your order of wizardliness. You can cast rituals much more quickly. You're very adept at it. You know all the moves, and you kind of move your way through it. And you start to see these kind of auras and overlays kind of in the world around you that you are familiar with from casting Detect Magic before. It's a little muddy in some ways because you are in a magical high school that has lots of enchantments and glamours and space bending kind of magic that's in play all around you. So it's a little hard, but you do notice around the students this faint, very dark kind of. It makes you think of roots binding around something. It's happens in a flash. It's more of almost kind of a sense of it than being able to see it, and then charging out of the fog comes Ivanka as she's looking at all the students. She's not looking at you. Who has done this? Who? Marcus, is this you? And points to that kind of same kind of tree boy that earlier. Marcus just kind of shakes his head, rustles his leaves, and is absolutely not kind of owning up to this. Stop it now. And do you continue to concentrate on the fog spell, or do you let it go?
I let it go.
Okay, all right. So it kind of fades, and do not think Dr. Thornfellow will not hear of this. And she hands you you can handle the quiz, and I will go and report to the administrator's office. And she goes clomping out the door.
And I lock the door behind her.
That's good. What do you do with the quizzes?
I take a look at this handful of quizzes, and I just sort of toss them on the desk, and I say, well, good for us, huh? We got rid of her.
The students, even the ones that have been a little bit more animated reading, look to a person terrified, and are just kind of looking around, not knowing what to. They don't know what to make of this. They don't know you, and so they're being a little off. From that, we're going to pause there, and we're going to jump to Mr. Penn. Mr. Penn leads the way to the library. The library now. Mr. Penn is accustomed to magical libraries. Magical libraries differ from regular libraries in a couple of like very specific ways. One is that there are a lot of magical tomes that have sentience that will like fully try to like get out of the library if they don't like it there. And so there's like numbers of shelves that have like these cages kind of locked over them, and from within there are these kind of rustlings. That's all like pretty par for the course for Mr. Pym. He knows this, as well as kind of like the regular kind of library shelves. Um, the other thing that Mr. Pym would notice right away is there's a very officious kind of looking human woman. Well, human at first until you see like a slight curve to the ears, and you see like maybe she's like half elven or has some elven blood, and she is directing a couple of workers as they are packing up a number of books from shelves, and do that. She turns to you as you enter, and says, "Oh, good. It's yes, you're the substitute librarian for the day, aren't you?"
Yes, I am. And who may I? What is your name? Who am I speaking to here?
Oh, my name is Karen Bisbee. Karen Bisbee. I'm the head of the PTO, and as you may not know, we have a very involved parent-teacher organization here. We are very deeply involved in our students and children's education.
Can Mr. Pym roll for investigation or perhaps even perception, because he's seeing a pattern of more involvement from the PTO here than in any other school he has substituted in. Like he's seeing various of these kind of these non-teachery folks roaming the corridors as well as he was on his way to the library. So can I roll for just investigation or in perception?
I think probably investigation, right? It's not details you're trying to notice. It's like putting a pattern together, right? Like you're able to kind of like see that. So he thinks that he sees this pattern. We'll see if he sees this pattern.
20.
Well played. A dirty 20, as it's known in the lingo. Yes. So with a 20, Mr. Pym in his mind, in a sort of like a beautiful mind sort of way, like montage, is putting together like these details that he's noticed as he's like roamed the halls and past these other classrooms and seen like all of these like non-teacher, kind of adults, kind of in there. You're seeing like you're kind of putting that together with a kind of like that kind of emphasis on order, and you're seeing like that there is something that's deeply awry here in some sense. Or at least like it seems odd to you and off-putting and so different than what you have experienced before that it does put your kind of hackles up. Absolutely. But it does, like, you're clear that there's some sort of pattern of behavior that's happening here.
And as Mr. Pym like senses all of this, his hackles literally physically are up at the same time.
Yeah.
The mullety thing is doing some weird things, and it's all kind of strange. Then Mr. Pym then asks, when will the children be coming to the library? I want to make sure that I'm fully prepared for any of these small beings.
Well, Dr. Thornpillow did let me know that you'd be coming by, and you had some concerns about having to interact with the children. And I have such good news for you, because really we want to make sure that while knowledge is very precious, we want to make sure it's the right knowledge. We want to make sure it's the right knowledge that the students are getting. And so we are sort of keeping all of the books under lock and key a bit to make sure that we're only working off of the approved books list. And so that's something that you're going to be helping us kind of chase down some rogue tomes and whatnot here today in order to make sure that we could keep the knowledge in adult hands where it belongs.
Could I have a look at this approved list? I mean, from my appearance, you may think that I'm very very prim and proper, but I do believe that the library and everything that is in the library should be open and viewable to all, regardless of age.
Well, and what a magnificent attitude to take about, kind of knowledge in our libraries, and certainly for public libraries, that makes so much sense. But for a school library, I think you'll agree that like personal political views probably have no real bearing on what the job that you should be doing, the temporary job that you should be doing today. And I would hate to take a moment to have to talk to Dr. Thornfellow and let them know that that you're not willing to be on board with our program here. So, I have a list of tasks for you to complete with the full backing of Dr. Thornfellow, and I would just love it if you could help us chase down some of these rogue tomes, make sure they're not getting into the wrong hands. As you know, knowledge can be a dangerous thing as well.
Mr. Pym sort of just physically, and you can hear him harumph kind of underneath all of his
Bless
feathers, and
you.
is clearly not happy with the situation. Doesn't even acknowledge the bless you, and proceeds to kind of accept his duties as the substitute here, and but with a mind that there is something not right in this situation, so he's going to play along until he figures out what is going on here.
Yeah. So the list of tasks you have like are primarily like there are these certain like magical tomes that have kind of slipped the filing system somehow, which is again not uncommon when you have like books who have like partial sentience and can kind of flap around a little bit. And you even see like in far up in some of the dusty corners of the library, like there's a which it is kind of like the library. I didn't even describe the library to you. Let me describe the library to you. So again, still within this kind of brutalist kind of architecture, somehow there are windows kind of on all sides of the library, like at the very top, letting in light, even though that doesn't make any sense structurally from the building. And then tall, kind of shelves, kind of receding kind of into the distance. And the shelves are all like this kind of like rich mahogany, like kind of clearly at one point a lot of money was spent kind of on this room. There are these kind of ornate little kind of cubby holes like for students to kind of study in, and these beautiful kind of magical lamps kind of set up that when turned on give this kind of like really warm glow. And so like that's all kind of happening. But again, like the regular bookshelves are very sparse, and the magical bookshelves are firmly kind of not only locked down, but some have had like these metal covers kind of like put over the cages. But often the kind of corners, dusty corners of the library, you see these like some little books kind of flapping around, kind of like pages as wings kind of situations. And you have been tasked with like kind of like getting them down and filing them correctly. So with that, I think I probably need. So how would Mr. Pym kind of approach this particular challenge, like this trying to like hunt down the books? How do you think he would handle that?
So Mr. Pym walks into the middle of the library, and there's a table there, and unrolls, takes some things out of his attaché case. Two of them being a little a bedroll, puts that on the table, and then on top of the bedroll pulls out some rope and his small penknife. That is all that he's laid out from his attaché case, and he kind of goes into a weird sort of Indiana Jones-esque vibe, and looks at the shelves around him and is formulating a plan in his own mind of essentially lassoing some of these books, because as magical as they can be, they cannot be. The only way they can be defeated is essentially by a piece of rope and a penknife.
Magnificent. So I think I will. I'll let you choose which skill you want to do for the lassoing. It could be athletics, kind of like a brute force kind of approach. It could be acrobatics, or it could be. I'll even give it like a perception, where it's about like knowing exactly kind of when to throw it in order to get them. Whichever you would prefer.
He's going to use his perception to figure out when to lasso these books. So
Marvelous.
Roll and 22.
Everything's coming up Pym today. Yeah, it'll be good. with kind of an adroit adeptness of a seasoned wrangler of books. He takes this kind of rope, kind of whirls it around, and right at the right moment, just in the same way as perhaps as a younger owl, he swooped in to snatch a mouse from a burrow. Through rope, and one after another kind of wrangles these in, and there's also kind of like a some of them are just kind of like half feral, and then some of them can be kind of reasoned with. You can kind of like talk them into like going back into the shelves, kind of thing. But eventually, kind of like gets everybody back in, and gets them gets these books kind of wrangled.
Can I, as I'm
yeah.
wrangling the first book, as I bring it down, what is the title, and kind of I quickly flip to see what this book is about, so I can start to. So Mr. Pym wants to start to figure out which books are essentially being banned by the PTO and which ones are not.
The first is a critical examination of magical history, and that's the first book that he grabs, which is this. It's a way of kind of teaching students to examine like their own history from a number of different lenses, in a way like to be able to understand like different points of view, and that there are different kind of voices and narratives that might be possible kind of around a single set of circumstances.
And Mr. Pym puts that in the pile of books he's been told to keep away from prying children's eyes.
Indeed. With that, we're going to jump over to Coach Legamore. Coach Legamore, your first class today is in point of fact health. So you are going to go in, and there's the health the health kind of lab, if you will. Like clearly at some point it was a lab where like there was like also sort of like biology like could be taught in there and things like that. It's also been kind of stripped quite a bit, and there are like a number of kind of pamphlets of various sorts, and kind of a lesson plan. The students come in. There's like kind of a good kind of mix of there's that kind of mix of like the ones that are a little bit more kind of glazed over, a few that seem a little bit more restless, a number that are kind of like a little docile and kind of in between, but come in and sit down. There doesn't appear to be like a parent in this particular room yet, and so you kind of settle in. The lesson plan in front of you is talking about how you can avoid all diseases by staying away from everyone else, and that's kind of the general the general feel for it. And by following the rules. Following the rules saves you from getting sick, keeps you from getting chlamydia. So that's like kind of the emphasis of kind of the pamphlets and things. How does Coach does Coach introduce himself to the class? Like, how does this go? What does this look like?
Coach is going to do the classic move of like jumping up on sitting on top of the desk, and it is kind of an like normally that would be not impressive, but Coach is very small.
Yeah, I'm gonna need so I'm gonna need an athletics check first off to see how that goes.
Very fair. Oof, it's a 10.
Okay, so does make the leap. It was a low difficulty check, but right at its head. So if it was meant to look smooth and like effortless, it was more like he definitely lets out like a deep grunt kind of as he kind of jumps, and kind of almost like that moment where he catches like on the edge of it jumping up and almost falls and doesn't, and kind of like does this. Yeah, that happens.
Yes, definitely. And again, this a halfling of just like not like almost albinism in color. So so he's like trying to get it together, but you can see the like blush rising like from the top of his neck, like slowly filling up his head. But he, shakes it off, puts his hands on his knees, looks out at the classroom of very docile children, looks at the list of things to do, which is basically tell the kids not to touch anyone and they won't get chlamydia. Probably, I would also, just for flavor, I would bet that this is the situation where there's like a pack of note cards. And the lesson plan is you're supposed to pass them all out to everyone, and everyone writes their name on it, and you turn to the next person and do that like classic abstinence-only education depiction of how STIs work.
Yes.
So he does pass out the cards, or at least awkwardly lean over to one of the students to like start, having them pass them to each other, because he's feeling a little not worried that he like can't get back up on the desk. And then he asks everyone to he basically says, hey guys, I'm Coach Legamore. We're talking about health today. And I want you to think about what makes you feel good. I want you to reflect on that, and I want you to write it down.
All right. Let's have a persuasion roll from Coach to see like how persuasive that. This is like outside their normal kind of lesson plan. They know it, and they're looking for a trap, I think. So yeah, go ahead and give me a persuasion roll. Let's see how this goes.
The 19.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh. So, I don't know, if Coach might have like won them over by the sort of feat of acrobatic strength, that almost didn't go well, or if it's just that he's a little closer in size to a lot of them than maybe, like there's a relatability factor, perhaps.
Maybe a little bit of the catcall effect when you embarrass yourself in front of people, and then. Yeah,
I think so. And the students start kind of writing things down, and some of them, kind of more slowly or reluctantly. Some scribble it, kind of right away, and then they. Do you ask them to pass the cards back up, or do you ask them to?
Not Coach asks. Coach says, "Hey, those are for you. You don't have to share that with anyone, but I want you to think about it, right? I saw in your lesson plan, a way to be healthy is to follow the rules. And there are some rules here on this desk. There's some pamphlets. If you have any questions about them, I'm more than happy to answer," which he says and is like, oh, why did I say that? We're talking about chlamydia with teens. And then sort of says, also, he's never taught health. This is full student stuff. Think about if what makes you feel good is getting outside and getting more fresh air, is that a rule for you that you want to be outside every week? If it's cooking, if it's spending time with your friends, that could be a health rule for you. And he's just fully inventing his best idea of what teaching health would mean. And he's probably I think he gets on a little bit of a tear. The food thing sparks something for him, and soon he's pulling out all of his bags of protein powder and creatine and immunity, and he's just kind of going off on a little tangent and rant about all of the different natural ways that you can try to feel better.
In the midst of all of that, an adult enters the room, and it's in this particular instance is they have these kind of gossamer wings. They kind of float into the room. They've got a pale pink skin and kind of hair that is very hangs down to almost their kind of feet, but they're flying, so it doesn't matter. But a very kind of prim expression, and they look around. They're kind of holding their stomach a little bit, and I was like, Oh, my apologies. I must have had something to disagree with me. Yeah. I'm Miss Puck, and I yeah, I'm just your parent liaison and teacher's aide here. Are we about to the point where we're giving the quiz? And like is asking that while looking at this pile of powders and things like this. This seems a little off book.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you, Miss Puck. Who's yours? And it's trying to like look out and see if Miss Puck's child.
They're not in this. No, they're not in this class. They're probably in a different class right now. Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. Well, and hey, you said you weren't feeling great. What are your symptoms? And starting to like look into the
honey, I tell you, I appreciate that so very much. I took a little Imodium, and I should be right as rain. I'm so sorry I missed part of the class. I love the consistency of the curriculum in this, and I just find such comfort in it. So, class, let's show what is your name, Coach Legamore?
I'm Coach Legamore, and just
Coach
reaching
Legamore.
out, just like can't get off.
Yeah. Let's show Coach Legamore what we've learned. All right, okay. How do you get we'll do the quiz. We'll do like a pop quiz. I just want to show off for you a little bit. Show we're right on top of our knowledge and everything. And so she goes and writes on the board, A, syphilis, B, chlamydia, C, gonorrhea, D, magic syphilis, or E, all of the above. And is like, when you touch somebody, what do you get? And and reads them off to everybody, and all of the students go E, all of the above. That's so good. See, they're so good.
I think that Coach at this point is pretty freaked out by everything that he's heard so far. And I think he's having a similar reaction to Barb, and he wants to. He's gonna try to cast Detect Good and Evil, because he's like, what in the heck is going on here? They all seem okay, but they're also,
Yeah. Let's take a look at this real quick, because I'm trying to remember if let's see, cast Detect Good and Evil, is that a feature for you?
It's Divine.
Divine Sense. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I guess I maybe don't have to cast that. I just know it.
You just do it. So what that does specifically, though, is it lets you detect like celestial, like kind of angelic beings, fiendish beings, undead beings, and or anything that's affected by this like specific kind of like spell. So that's more kind of like it's a way to kind of like locate those things, which you could absolutely still do if you would like to do it.
I think he would. I don't think this is like a very thoughtful. I think he's just like trying to check in.
Yeah. So what does it look like when Coach uses his divine sense?
Oh, he is fully just like taking a centering breath.
All right.
Closing his eyes and taking a centering breath.
Does he keep his eyes closed, or do his eyes change in any way when it happens?
Oh, that's a good question. I think his eyes stay the same, but much like how you could watch him like slowly blush.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's he's sort of like his face sort of like the effort of doing this like drains his face and becomes even more real.
Okay. So as he does this, the first thing that you get is that there's some sort of concentration of undead kind of somewhere below you, is what you see. As well as there's like a smaller bit of that off kind of in a different direction, like off maybe towards the administrative offices. and which, famed for their necromantic arts program. That's not like entirely surprising in some way. You didn't get any sense of like there's a few kind of pings off of some students who have like some angelic or fiendish bloodlines, but like it's a pretty dim, kind of ding there like that. But that's primarily what Coach gets out of that moment.
Cool.
Yeah. Excellent. But seeing you go pale, Miss Puck is like, "Oh, honey, you just seems like you saw ghosts. Are you feeling all right? Do you need some Imodium?" She brings out this like huge bottle of Imodium that she's got in her purse.
And Chris says, "Oh, that's so nice of you, Miss Puck. I'm all set." And just yoinks out again like this enormous water bottle and like pours a couple more, like just kind of looks over his powders and is like, a little bit of this and a little bit, and updates is like brew. And then just this, so this is the lesson plan every day?
Well, I mean, there's some variation of it here and there, but I mean, for the most part, we just try to be, consistency brings order, and we believe in an orderly school and in raising beautiful, magical, orderly citizens. And so we try to be, consistency we find is key for the learning mind.
Yes, magic is famously consistent.
I'm glad you understand. Of course. Passes right over, like not even that kind of thing. Yeah. So with that, we're going to kind of like pull the kind of separate classroom scenes to a little bit of a close here. So what happens, kind of in particular for Barb, Ivanka comes back with Dr. Thornfellow kind of in tow, and they take Marcus outside, and you hear kind of like a muttered kind of conversation and some like muttered like apologies, and he comes back in like looking really kind of like shamefaced and kind of sits back down. But before you know it, it is lunchtime, and you've been directed to a faculty lounge that is pretty empty except for you all. And then there's like in the corner, there's this small, like kind of frog man with kind of a deep purple skin. He's in a custodian outfit and is just like changing out the trash. But there's like you went and got plates from the cafeteria, and then kind of brought them back to the faculty lounge, and all four of you meet up again to chat about your days. And I might wonder like what that. Well, one, I want to hear what everybody's. So the cafeteria, being a magical school, is supposed to be able to kind of provide like whatever kind of meal that you might imagine in some sense. It seems like the parameters of that have been dialed down a bit, and so it's like if you order like a burrito, you get like a wrap. If you order kind of like anything kind of exotic, it's like whatever the whitest version of that is. Like is you just get like that. Like it's really just been kind of toned down. So if you order like anything spicy, like it's not spicy. So, but I would love to know kind of what everybody's eating, and then and then what you all discuss.
So I think Poe was really hoping for a plate of beef rendang, but probably got back a plate of just like plain white rice and like not much else on it, and it's just looking at it really sadly.
There's some beef on there, like or at least like, but it's been just cooked to like within an inch of its life, like more leather, and in brown sauce, like that's kind of.
Oh no!
And then some broccoli on the side that's like
no,
that is that looks as though someone gave it a fright and is just like pale and sickly looking.
Oh dear, yeah. So that's she walks away just looking at it sadly like.
Yeah. What did Barb come in with?
Barb was really hoping, given that you're supposed to be able to order anything, she was hoping to have one of her favorites, which she hasn't had in a while, which is pulled hamster sliders.
Marvelous.
Really, you don't have to do much pulling, right? It's like one hamster per slider. So she orders this and she receives just a plate of small hamburgers. Just
Yeah.
regular hamburgers.
Yeah.
A little.
It's very much like kind of like lettuce that looks like it might have seen the sun at one point in its life. Kind of tomato slices that you pick up and just fall over as though dead. Yeah, and just like the weakest mustard you could possibly imagine as like kind of the topping for it.
The watery part that comes out before you squeeze.
Yes, yeah, I think so. It'll be good. What does Pim come in with? What does Mr. Pim come in with?
Well, Mr. Pim is very looking forward to a lovely hearty bowl of dal, super spicy. Despite being an owl, is a vegetarian. It gets very, very complicated at home with family, but he thought like you could find something here, and what he effectively got was just kind of watery oat soup. And he kind of looks at it. It's not even as thick as gruel. It's literally pieces of oats floating in a bowl of lukewarm water. So luckily he did pack a cheese and chutney sandwich, and chutney by like a green spicy chutney sandwich, which was in his attaché, which was, he always carries spare food because he never knows what food he's going to be given.
Yeah, lucky really that Pibbles the imp didn't confiscate the sandwich.
Yes, it was in a secret. It was in a secret little a little part of the attaché case that no magic, no goblin, no fiend will ever be able to find, and that is where the cheese and chutney sandwiches live.
Where only the most important things are kept.
Yes.
Good. So I got to know about what Coach is eating.
Yep.
What's happening here?
Oh, yeah. Folks, I think Coach is the only person who's happy, and Coach is extremely happy. Coach got exactly what he wanted, which was basically an assortment of raw or almost raw vegetables. We got just like straight up an onion. We got some. I think blanched broccoli is in Coach's like everyday rotation. He got like a ton of that. Some like brown rice. If lentils were on the menu, he got that. He's just got like a classic, like almost rat style, like bulking meal. He didn't even try. My supposition is that Coach was at the back of the line and saw what happened before, and didn't even ask for any sort of flavorings, and is just pouring on some creatine right on top.
So just like big kind of like piles of cloudy dust, like kind of poofing up from these vegetable tray. Yeah, absolutely. Well, so who starts by like the lunchtime conversation? Who's the one to kind of like start to talk about what happened in their classes?
Well, Poe's just looking longingly at the cheese and chutney sandwich. She's extremely distracted by that.
Mr. Pym senses this and nibbles fast and efficiently to make sure that nothing is really left, because that watery oats bowl that's currently looking at him is not very happy. But as he's nibbling, he sort of senses and looks up because he uses. Can I roll for perception at this point just to kind of see that he's sensing the same thing as what others are sensing?
Yeah, sure. Like you can get a sense of like. Actually, I'll tell you what. Roll me an insight check, because this is more about trying to see like if you're getting a read on other people. Like, are we on the same page around this being weird?
Yes. 15.
Yeah, that's enough. I would say that I don't think anybody's got a deception score higher than that on its own.
In between nibbles, Mr. Pym looks up and just looks at everyone in the eyes, like the big old owl eyes are kind of staring each individual down as he thinks about this, and simply says, Are you thinking the same thing as I'm thinking? And waits for a response.
Yeah, the food sucks.
Oh, Mr. Pym just kind of just looks away from Poe at this very like imagines Poe is sitting on the other side of this section and just kind of glances towards everyone else and again mentally thinks the same question and hopes that Bob or Coach is picking up what he's putting down.
Yeah. And is anyone else picking up what Pym's putting down?
Barb, you know, as we've talked about, Barb generally looks really discontent because that's just how her face is. But she's more sort of like frowning and closed off, you know, staring at her small hamburgers, and just says almost as if to herself, but loud enough so everyone else can hear. Like, I thought this was supposed to be a school for rich kids. This doesn't look like rich kid food.
And they're way more afraid of magic syphilis than any other kids I've ever taught. It's really disconcerting. They don't, and I don't know. Guys, I feel like we know why Dr. Thornfellow was not invited to the staff party. Her grip on this school is terrifying. And actually at that, Coach is like looking around for bugs, basically.
Sure. Yeah. 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 If you want to do a check for magical listening devices, yeah, I would allow either a perception or an arcana check to see if anything's listening in. And that's from any of you. If any of you want to, or does anybody want to help Coach do that?
Yes, I would like to. I'll roll for Arcana.
Okay, you'll roll for Arcana, and then yeah, Barb, do you want to? You could give Coach advantage on their perception check. That just is like you're like pointing things out essentially, and you'll get to roll twice, Allison, and take the better one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll lend that too, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll roll again. And Coach is also just like lifting up everything he could think of. Like, he's little, he can get into spots.
Yeah.
Mr. Pym rolled a 20.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Coach rolled shit, so.
Okay, that's right. So what Mr. Pym would recognize is that there is a concentration of small magical kind of pulsing objects that all seem to be in the trash bag that the frog custodian has been like taking out and packing. Been slow. He moves real slowly, kind of putting into the room.
Hey, Poe. Do you want to quickly have a look in that, see if you can get hold of that trash bag over there? I feel like there's something in there that we need to have a look at.
Why do I have to look into the trash bag?
I'll roll for persuasion. I'll try and persuade.
Go ahead, go for it.
I feel like I've got no hope on this one, but let's see. Oh, I was right. I roll a 4.
So, not a very persuasive argument for
No.
Poe, but does Poe respond to anything in the ask there?
I will give you my cheese and chutney sandwich. There's 1/4 of it left.
Oh, worth it. So Poe goes have a look. And also Poe's thinking, oh, there might be something interesting in the trash as well, actually.
So as Poe, kind of walks over to the frog custodian, and you just say he's got a little name tag that just says Jasper on the front of it. He looks up at you and looks over at you all, and he's got this kind of, hey, I got all of them in my magic bag. They can't hear you right now. I'm not whispering. This is just how I sound.
Oh.
I feel like I have to explain that a lot. Yeah. I didn't want what happened to the others to happen to you.
What?
What
Yeah.
happened?
they got rounded up by the PTO. There was some sort of big meeting. I don't know. I mean I need this job, but I I couldn't go on like thinking about other people going the way that they went. I think they went. I don't know. I just know that I found all these because I clean real good, and that the other teachers they just gone after. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to them, but I don't want them happening to you. You all seem like nice folks.
When did this happen?
That was just last week. And that being like on Friday, like this it's Monday today, so like kind of like there was a weekend in between.
Well, so they certainly did move quick on getting these substitutes in. It's almost as if they planned this all happening. I'm trying to, and then Mr. Pym kind of looks around at the fellow substitutes, trying to see if anyone else is coming to the same conclusions as he is.
Barb is definitely on the same wavelength with Mr. Pym and has half a mind to rush into Dr. Thornfellow's office and cast Detect Thoughts. But she also knows that she has to finish her lunch because if she doesn't, she'll get very cranky.
Yeah. Let's see. So with that, like Jasper is. Does anybody else respond to what Jasper's saying? Anybody respond verbally to him?
Well, I think firstly Poe turns to Mr. Pym and be like, Sammy, please.
Sandwich.
And then turns back to Jasper with like a full mouth of sandwich and just says, should we get out of here? What should we do? Should we just teach?
Wait, how much of this food you ate? How much food? So we've got Barb definitely ate like the hamburgers, right? Yeah, that was it. Coach definitely ate like the vegetables, and Mr. Pym avoided the gruel altogether,
Yes.
like the oat soup. Did Poe eat any of her food, or did she hold out for the sandwich?
I think Poe valiantly took one bite and then just decided that was not it when she saw the cheese and chutney sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from Barb and from Coach, I'm gonna need wisdom saving throws, and so that's it'll be kind of up at the top of your screen, and there's the pluses underneath the. Oh no, I'm sorry. Like saving, there's a little upper left. There's a saving throw section, and you just click that number next to yours.
Got it.
And
16.
And a 16. Okay. So both of you feel this sort of like urge leading kind of from your stomach to like move in a different direct to move out of the room, like in a direction, but are able to kind of like resist that urge that seems to be like it's almost like the food is like balled up in your stomach and is like pulling you in a way, and then there's like a tiny little bit of that for Poe, just a tiny little bit from the one bite, nothing for Pym. Yeah, and then the next thing that I'll need from Pym and Coach. Not from Pym, from Coach and from Barb are Constitution saving throws to see something here. All right. Barb is able to keep the food down. It stays there and still sort of like kind of tugging in a direction, but you're able to kind of resist it. Coach, you vomit immediately. Just
no.
maybe it was just the.
And I taught health this morning.
Oh no, are you ever going to hit your macros today, coach? You have to eat the same meal again.
Jasper just like looks at it, is like, damn it, I just cleaned this room. Takes out like a mop and like, starts kind of like cleaning up the vomit. But I suppose it's best to get that out of your system. You all look all right. I mean, you look a little like, I know I'm not supposed to ask if anybody's pregnant, but Bob, because like the stomach is distended, it's like kind of moving in a direction. It's like clearly like something like rolling around in there, kind of thing. Are you all right? You all know all right?
First of all, how dare you?
I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't ask. I shouldn't ask.
I just, and she just keeps sputtering.
Plus, we got so many species here, like, people get pregnant, reproduce in different ways. I like my special one lays a clutch of eggs, and I do a thing over them. And you can't really tell. I don't know why that's even still a thing for me, but and just kind of keeps apologizing.
Eggs. Sorry, I'm a little fired up. I won't eat your family.
Hey, it's understandable. As he's like continuing to kind of mop up Coach's vomit. With that, he goes, I gotta get to the rest of school. I gotta keep this, job going. I mean, it's up to you what you do. It depends. Like, I guess, do you need the job, or do you want to? I can help you out, well, but like I gotta pay. I got a mortgage. I got it. So, but I'll do this much, and like holds up the bag with all the magical listening things. I just couldn't live with that. And starts to kind of wheel his little cart out of the room.
Thank you, Jasper. I'm so sorry. I vomited everywhere.
It's all right. It's not the worst that I cleaned up here, that's for sure. And then left in the room that you now know is free of magical listening devices, with a kind of gravitic bulge in Barb's stomach, tugging in a direction. What do you all say to one another? What do you all do?
Well, Poe's mesmerized by Barb's stomach now, because it's wild. But I think Poe likes money, but the thing that Poe likes more than money is drama. So she's like, oh, there's something going on here. What shall we do?
Mr. Pym is like, I think there is a safe. He thinks of the library as a safe space, no matter which school he's in. So he suggests to the group, should we head to the library, and we can use the books there. I have a list of the books that the PTO has banned, and maybe there are some more clues in there as to kind of what exactly is going on here. Do I have to roll persuasion again here?
No, you're good. I mean, like, if the group consensus, generally, like, I'll make you roll against an NPC, or if it's really funny. In this particular instance, I think if everybody seems good with that, then we can take the scene to the library. So as you all kind of make your way towards the library, with Mr. Pym leading the direction, because yours is the paper that kind of has the directional arrows that light up for you to take you to the library. Then as you all are walking, Barb, you continue to feel this kind of like ball of whatever, kind of like change as you change kind of directions, like still kind of tugging in the same cardinal direction as you're walking, but you're able to very successfully resist. It seems like there's like that element of it, and then there was some other kind of enchantment element to it that would have like made you go along with it, kind of that you've been able to resist. But that's just something you're noticing kind of as you go. You
usually
all
feel this kind of urge. It's leading me toward the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I'm going somewhere else today.
And so you all get to the library and enter it to and within it, there's still some workers like in the corner, kind of packing up some books. You don't see Karen Bisbee anywhere at the moment. And yeah, like how would you approach this next bit? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
So we want to find out what's going on here. This is my
Yeah.
internal thoughts. Can any one of us stealthily grab one of the boxes, or like try and get one of the boxes that the helpers in the corner are currently topping up?
I think I could do that. I want to do that in the most ostentatious way possible, which is like big distraction, and then amongst the distraction, like make away with the boxes.
I like the distraction. I'm Mr. Pym's kind of trying to talk Poe into maybe you are the distraction, and one of us can quickly grab and rifle through the boxes. How about that? Would you? And you can create as big a distraction as you want, Poe. I know you really like your scarves, so go ham. Go ham on your scarves.
Are you sure I'm a quadruple threat? But okay, sure. Yeah, I'll put, and then Poe, like, just without any sort of prompting, just decide she only really half knows what's going on here. She just knows she's having a great time, and so she goes to she sashays up to the helpers and she starts saying, "Have you seen the dance of the 8 scarves?" And she proceeds to do this this really involved thing.
All right. So there, as you walk up to the workman, give me a perception check.
Okay, so I got a 16.
All right. One, you notice that they're both appear to be undead. Like they're both kind of like well-preserved corpses. Kind of do that. They're dressed in kind of coveralls, and there is a some sort of like logo on the back of the coveralls, stenciled. On the front, it says MFS on the front, and on the back, it says Mothers for Sovereignty on the back. So that's yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Question. This is a magical library and there are a lot of books, but are there also computers in this library as there would be in the modern era?
There are, as also is true of the schools that are occasionally like fund one section of the school really well, only for others to not be great. They're a little old and dated, but yeah, they're absolutely there.
So we're talking kind of big old CRT monitors and old clicky-clacky keyboards.
Yeah, like in the same way, like in the magical world, like technology, kind of has kept up as it has in the mundane world, for roughly. But the magic is like the magical world, like everything's always about like 20 years behind. Like it's just again long-lived people, very set in their ways, and so it's just a lot slower to change in some ways, or see the necessity of change.
So is Poe able to distract the undead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
such a good question, right? So what you so give me a performance check.
Okay. All right. Here we go. We got a 22.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. This is what happens. What
Okay.
you notice is as you were doing the dance of the 8 scarves,
Yeah.
and are doing that, as you kind of pull like a scarf kind of across like the line of sight of their eyes, they go still for a second, and so it's like as though like if every time like they lose kind of immediate line of sight of things, like they kind of like shut down a little bit. So yeah, do with that as you will.
Okay, so I think Poe figures this out and she's like, huh. And then she just like tosses a scarf over both of them, just like covering them.
Yep. They both just like go perfectly still and just stand there. I need to know kind of a little bit more about the scarves that are covering these zombies.
So So she's got like a variety of scarves because for her
obviously,
it's about the variety, but she's managed to like get like, well, this sort of thing where it's sort of like, you know, it's got like a it's not sheer like many of her other ones. So she's it's a long kind of like pashmina type thing, and she's managed to throw it over them, so it drapes gracefully over these. So you just see coverall legs.
Yeah, absolutely. Marvelous. Yeah, so that happens. They stop. One of them is like, had been kind of mid-bend to like pick up a box of books and then just kind of goes back to a standing position. The other one is still holding a box of books, but isn't doing anything with it. It's just kind of like set with it. And then there's some other boxes of books, kind of there on the shelves.
Mr. Pym asks, Coach, hey, Coach, you look like, obviously you're the spry one here. Could you go and grab one of those boxes on the floor over there?
Yeah, he heads on over, stacks them up, tries to do a bunch.
Yeah.
All in one go.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, like full youth group energy there. To like carrying too many things. Always. How many boxes does he try to carry at once? I need to know.
The answer is 3 for sure.
The answer is 3. I just need an athletics check from you to see how well that goes.
Yes, fair enough.
This is like a 3-foot high person trying to lift 3.
There is
a 17. I should have said more.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. 17, easy. There is sort of like an ant-like quality. Like if you ever watch an ant, carrying something that's larger than it is, like that is happening kind of with Coach. Absolutely happening. Carrying these like 3 massive boxes of books and just kind of like effortlessly like doing it. Even kind of like as it has to kind of like brush by one of the workmen and kind of like juggles it onto like one arm for a second to kind of like kind of push past the scarf so it doesn't like blind him as he's walking past. And carries them back over to Mr. Pym.
Mr. Pym is more than mildly impressed with this feat of pure athleticism from Coach here, and kind of is kind of a little bit gobsmacked by this all.
Yeah. Go ahead, Coach.
Like, I think could tell that a little bit, and just
just a little like, oh, brush your shoulder.
Like, this is the best part of all the work I put into this.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that there needs to be like a roll for sexual tension. I think here.
Yes.
Between Coach and
I want to roll for like insight on like what is their.
Yeah. You roll insight. I need. I think both. I just want charisma checks. From Coach and Mr. Pym. Just straight charisma checks.
Straight charisma.
I got a 5 on the inside, so I don't notice anything.
You're still you got some top of the dance.
I'm still dancing.
You're still dancing.
I roll a 10 on a charisma check.
All right.
I got a 14.
All right. There's definitely like something there. There's something there like in the air between you all. What's Poe rolling persuasion for here?
Sorry, I didn't. Did I roll persuasion?
I thought I saw persuasion.
No, I wrote for insight. But I will say the height difference between these two is wild.
There's something.
Don't worry, I'm on top of the box.
Yeah. Just in that moment of Coach casually hefting these boxes, maybe even kind of one-armed in that moment, and Mr. Pym looking down his beak at him. There's just something that lingers in the air between them briefly. It's something. Who knows what it could be, but it's present. I probably need an insight check from Barb as well to see if she picks up on anything.
Yeah, no one has really been paying any attention to me, which is fine because I wanted you all to stop staring at my stomach, but also...
Yeah. Understandably distracted by what's happening in your stomach right now. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot that's going on there. Excellent. So the moment passes. Just an ineffability about it. What do you all do with the boxes of books?
Can we start rummaging through the boxes? How many books are in these boxes that Coach has?
Sure, they're probably about I would say probably about 20 books per box, and so they're hefty for that. A lot of them are like hardbacks and things, and and so you're rummaging through them. And what are you trying to find?
We're trying to find anything that references this Mothers for Sovereignty, this MFS thing.
Sure. So on your initial scan through, I'm going to need an investigation check from. I need like two people searching, and if anybody else, and if the other two want to help them, just tell me how you would help them, and that'll give them advantage on those rolls. So we've got Mr. Pym looking through a box of books. Who else is looking through a box of books? There we go.
Yeah.
Investigation.
Barb,
Like
I mean,
flat.
yeah, that's great. So then, do Coach and Poe want to like assist them by like pointing out things, or like is Coach giving like a rub down on the shoulders to like relax? Like what's happening there?
I think Coach is actually just like hopping into the boxes, hefting them out,
Okay.
maybe like holding them up to Mr.
So just
Pym,
gotta
like
make it,
Oh.
yeah.
basically.
And then that's marvelous. So yeah, Mr. Pym can roll twice. Is Poe helping Barb at all, or is Poe still distracted by her own dance?
So after being a whirling dervish of scarves, she gets tired out. So can I give like someone bardic inspiration or something like that?
I mean, you can absolutely do that if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel bad for being rude and like looking at Barb's tummy earlier. So I give her bardic inspiration. I'm like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, marvelous. So your bardic inspiration is a D6, I think. I'm pretty sure it would be a D6.
Yeah.
All right. So Barb, go ahead. Oh yeah, you rolled investigation, and you hit a. What did you hit? That was a 6.
6.
Okay.
To be clear, Barb is not just looking for the MFS letters or anything involved in that. She's also kind of keeping an eye out for like valuable first editions.
Sure,
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
To sell on
Yeah.
eBay.
So with bardic inspiration, I went ahead and added that for you. I took a little liberty there. I hope you don't mind. I also really need to know like what bardic inspiration, like how do you offer that to Barb? Like what does that look like for Poe?
So I think Poe, like, it's like Poe's best thing at like a compliment to bring her like self-confidence back up, because I think Barb was feeling a bit self-conscious about her tummy. So I think Poe's just like, she just puts a paw on like Barb's like shoulder, and she says, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. It'll pass." And that's her like bardic inspiration.
That's great. Really good. So you get like an 11, kind of on your investigation check for that box. What Barb finds, nothing on Mothers for Sovereignty, but you do find like a valuable second edition of Minor Alchemies, which is just sort of a great kind of cookbook for like small, super handy alchemical recipes. This one has like a new foreword from the author that wasn't there before, like giving some that talks about how he learned all of these from his mother. It's worth it to like, it's worth a bit of money to like the right people who are kind of into that in particular. But yeah, you do find that book. Minor Alchemies.
Is the forward really long?
Yeah, it's really long.
I notice what it is. I quickly check the flyleaf to see if it's been signed or anything like that, and then I slip it into one of my many bags.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, Poe spots this, and Poe's impressed by her entrepreneurship.
This is great. And then what did Pym get for investigation?
15.
A 15. So you don't find anything directly about Mothers for Sovereignty, like, or references for Mothers for Sovereignty in the books. But a lot of these are there aren't many that are like about organizations necessarily. Like it's and it's hard to know like if that organization might be Well, I tell you, roll me another investigation check. I'll see if you connect a different puzzle piece here.
13. Mr. Pym is.
That's all right. This one's pretty low. Really, it's just like it makes sense to Pym that that maybe like what they're looking like this whatever this organization is isn't something that would be contained like in a history or something like that. The most immediate connection you draw from it is between that and the PTO and Karen Bisbee. So Karen Bisbee was the one ordering these mummified kind of workers around, and so even though you don't find anything in the box about Mothers for Sovereignty, you do like that puzzle piece kind of clicks into place for you.
Karen, huh?
No.
Had to be a Karen.
So, and then what you do find in the box that Coach hefts like, what you see is a theme, right? Like a theme of the kind of books. They're books that involve critical thinking, kind of books that involve teaching people how to think about things. When you compare that to kind of the approved book list, which is much tinier, it's mostly just kind of factual books with quotes around kind of factual that are kind of more monolithic and narrative. Also on the banned book lists are anything about understanding the nature of enchantment, and that there's a certain swath of kind of necromantic texts that seem that are also on the banned book list.
Ooh.
Would we, in this library, would there be any like histories of the school itself, or even like, you know how like in some libraries will be like, oh, like here's a bunch of pictures of kids who completed the summer reading program.
Sure.
Like I'm trying to find out more about Dr. Thornfellow's like experience here / like do we know anything about how what she learned here that might lead us to better understand who grew up on this school?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a great number of copies of her memoir kind of all over the shelves. Which is like one of the few kind of non-fiction books that is on the kind of approved list. So I think and it's called Strong Bones is the name of her book, of her memoir.
So click through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in so you're trying to get a sense of like what does she recount as like having learned here, like what were like maybe kind of like what's the direction of her thinking as a result, kind of that.
Yes, and I'm very curious about like how she talks about the necromancy program, and if there's anything she's referencing that we're seeing is missing, like
sure,
what is now needed.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and roll me another investigation check here. I think, or you know what, you could do perception or investigation because you know kind of what you're looking for. So it's less that you're it's slightly different answers depending on which one you roll. A 10, that's fine. Like
I thought it was a 1.
She's you just saw part of it. It's not a she's not subtle about like what she talks about. Like what she talks about having found kind of in necromancy in particular is an imposition of order against entropy. It's what she finds so fascinating about it, a way to preserve things as they are, a way of keeping the chaos of life from kind of affecting things, a way of achieving permanence, a way of achieving, certainly like there's like some hints of like immortality as being kind of maybe like a far off kind of goal there, but like that's a lot of what you get the sense of. She talks so lovingly about like how like preserving these creatures that she was learning to experiment on, kind of in a way where they were in a fixed state, maybe different than how they were, but in a fixed state that won't change, and that something that she found really like soothing about the the kind of quiet conformity and obedience she found within necromancy.
Gotcha.
Mr. Pym sort of realizes this feels like a very long lunch break that we are currently on. Should we think about heading back to our classrooms to share, or time-wise, where are we in the timeline of this lunch break?
Sure. So there, after lunch, there is a school assembly that happens. That's like a daily kind of like assembly that occurs. That's on your schedules. And it's actually not been that long yet. Like, you all have spent maybe like half an hour in here. The lunch, you've got like a full lunch hour. So you've got time if you want to kind of do other things before the assembly. And the assembly, it's suggested that you attend, but it didn't seem mandatory.
Okay.
Mr. Pym asked the group, like, should we split up and maybe a couple of us check out the assembly and what's going on there, see if there's anything to report, and then two of us carry on digging through the library?
So I think Dr. Thornfellow would be leading up the assembly. So Dr. Thornfellow wouldn't be in their office. And I wonder whether we could do some snooping in Dr. Thornfellow's office. So does anyone want to... So is it four of us like Scooby-Doo kind of like walking to the...
That's leaning around the hall. And
yeah, four heads just popping up. So do you guys want to do that, or do you want to split up?
I think maybe we'll learn more if we all four of us go there. Because I mean, if the assembly's going to be going on for a while, then and we may be stronger in numbers. We can have a couple of people standing outside the door of their office, and then a couple of us can have a look in her office.
True, and I don't trust that cat.
If we want to, if our goal is to help these kids break out of this of whatever control they're under, having them all in the same place rocks for that. Like, I love that. Let's all go now, and the assembly's going to go on. We can go into the assembly. Like,
true.
Whatever.
Poe is just like nodding. It was just like, oh yeah, we're helping the kids. This whole time Poe is just having fun.
Barb is like on board, but she's mulling because her stomach is starting to feel a little bit better. There's still some weird stuff going on, but she's very interested in the idea of transfixing things in time and keeping things as they are, because she is a goblin of a certain age and things are starting to move, and maybe she wants to figure out if there's some kind of enchantment she can cast on her face. But she'll research that on her own time. She is dedicated to the well-being of her students or whatever. So she's
all right. So you all are heading for maybe kind of waiting a little bit for the. Do you want to wait in the library before you've got like about half an hour before the assembly? You could wait in the library. You could go investigate something else first, and then go to the Thornfellow's office during the assembly, or because she might be in the office right now eating lunch, or you could go and check it out and see if she is or not. That's always a possibility as well.
She has the vibe of someone who eats alone. I will say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
I would love it in some way, like the thing that feel like what we can do to affect this necromancy fixed state that won't change. Like, I wonder if some of us like have some sort of ability to like find some way to like engender growth, prompt growth, break in that way. I don't know if we need to research about that right now. It's just like that's what's on my mind of like a thing we might want to bring to this.
Is Coach thinking about kind of in workout, kind of working out, and how you can kind of plateau for a while, and then like how do you kind of break out of that plateau, and kind of move on to new PRs and things?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do you all where are you all headed right now?
So I'm curious about the PTO, and I wonder if we've got a little bit of time, whether we can bump into one of the liaisons and like just chat them up a little bit and be like, oh, it's a really, try and find something out.
Mm-hmm.
Chat them up. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mr. Pym's kind of reading between the lines right there. And the barbarian side of him is like, yes, this
Yeah.
is the rage is growing. And it's like,
Yeah.
I can do it, unleashing it.
So you all could kind of go looking for one of the parent liaisons.
Wasn't the centaur like in and out of the bathroom? Can we like ambush them in the?
That was Ms. Puck, the fairy. The fairy was. If you want to go stake out the bathrooms for a minute to see if Ms. Puck is around. Give me somebody give me a perception check here.
Okay, I'll roll. For
and somebody else could help if you want.
Yes, I can help.
All right.
Roll perception as well.
Excellent.
Oh dear.
I got
9.
I got a 19. I got a 19.
All right.
Yeah.
There was no help.
So it seems like, having found an idea that appeals to her specifically, Poe's attention has been focused. Maybe for the first time since you like
it's Roger Rabbit rules. It's Roger Rabbit. It only works when it's like funny.
So, having kind of fixated on this idea of finding the pooping fairy, you also kind of like check kind of the various kind of restrooms around, and sure enough, fluttering out of one of them, kind of again kind of holding her stomach and also holding like a tiny little stick up in front of her is that looks is Miss Puck.
So is she? So do we run into her as she's coming out and we're
she's
going
coming
in?
out. Yep,
So
as she's coming out.
I was like, hey, I want to talk to you about something, and I just try to like force her backwards into the bathroom so we can talk privately. And I'm like, check this out, I've got this weird thing on my back. Do you mind looking at it for me?
All right. So then I need a deception check from you.
Okay. Okay.
Are we trying to do this stealthily as well? Like, is this kind of? Are we in a quiet corridor or what?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the students are still at lunch. It's pretty quiet. Like there doesn't seem to be a lot going on.
Oh dear, it's 12.
All right. I mean, like, she doesn't really believe you. It's just, oh, honey, I wish I could help, but I just I think I might be pregnant. And is like holding this stick out kind of in front of her. It's a very like tiny scaled down like pregnancy test for fairies. I don't even know where I can lay in my egg. Anyway, so she lots of different ways of reproducing. Not that you would learn about it in health class, but it was what I'm saying. So she seems distracted, but like isn't really particularly swayed by Poe's argument. What does anybody else do?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob.
Sorry. Barb says, you're not pregnant. The food is poisonous. Take it from me.
Well, I guess there might be like I guess I probably need to research the false positives on this particular test. I mean, are you feeling ill as well, honey?
I mean, yes, to a varying degree every day. I hurt. I'm 577 years old. Of course, I don't feel good. But right now, yes, I feel worse thanks to the stupid hamburgers. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Pregnant.
I find eating the same thing every day really just helps keep my digestion mostly settled. This is why this is so consternating, honestly. So I guess, boy, there's just a baker's dozen of you in here. Is there anything, Coach? What's this? This isn't an all-gender restroom. We changed that.
By walking in here, I changed it again. We'd love to talk to you about the PTO. When did you join, and what's your charter?
Well, what a very direct set of questions. A PTO, and we want to have that conversation in here
Yes.
right now.
Yeah.
She's like, I think maybe I'd prefer not to, and tries to start for the door.
So Poe is just like stood like that, like this is Poe's version of acting natural, which is just like standing in a very unnatural way, just blocking the door. So is there something I could do? Well, I mean, without hurting the pregnant lady too much, to kind of
Potentially pregnant lady, potentially pregnant Perry. You know, you don't know.
to maybe like knock them on their butt, a little bit, like a little swipe.
I mean, you can look. You can try and I would say trip her with an acrobatics check, or just shove her with an athletics check.
I think acrobatics is probably Poe's style,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna try that.
Can I help?
Oh no, it's okay.
you
I
can
got a 19.
Well,
Oh, okay. Good.
so you do trip her. She, which is weird because she's flying. So like, you know, she goes through the door. What tripping her kind of looks like is that you kind of tangle her in some of your scarves.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of get out, and it's like, hi, what are you doing? Why are you accosting me? How are Barb and Pim responding to this?
Pim remembers this 50 foot of rope. Didn't use all of that rope to wrangle some of those books. He's still got at least 25 feet of rope stashed away in his briefcase that he's still carrying around with him. So can see if he can lasso this kind of almost pregnant, maybe pregnant person who is here.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Give me again. I'll give you a choice of in this particular instance, acrobatics has kind of already been used to tangle her up. Either kind of that perception or that athletics in order to make that happen.
I'll roll for athletics. 21.
Hey.
Nice. Yeah. As though Pim spent his formative years in a rodeo, just a loop of rope, kind of like trapping all of the scarves she's tangled in and kind of drawing her into this kind of like net of scarves and rope, with her head just kind of still popping out, and she's kind of squealing indignantly and demanding, kind of what's going on here? What are you doing? Where do we go from here?
Mr. Pim just kind of casually looks over to the coach and tries to gauge whether the coach is still mildly impressed with what's going on right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, coach is like a low whistle and like a nod and a like, hell yeah.
Having now impressed each other with feats of physical prowess, I need charisma checks from both of you again. For sexual tension.
Can I roll insight for tension?
Again, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
I rolled a 10.
Okay, all right, admirably consistent. Oh, okay, yeah, it's like. It's still there, but like it is a little like diffused by the fact that you're kind of like the midst of this impression is in like kidnapping an adult, like in the, at your place of work. So it still lingers there, but like not quite as long, but still coach is impressed. Okay, then what? Who does what next?
So
clearly we need to interrogate.
Yeah.
We wrap them up, but who's I feel like Bob, I feel like you would be a good interrogator in such a situation
you'd be really incisive.
Well, thank you. I mean, I try to get to the point, I also speak multiple languages. I can comprehend languages. So, if we have any language barriers, I can overcome those.
It's true. And I think earlier I heard you mention that you could detect thoughts, would be a thing, which, just thinking through your options here.
Why don't we just do that? I'll just cast
Okay.
detect thoughts. We'll detect some thoughts. We'll know what they're thinking. It'll be
So I need to know what it looks like when Barb casts detect thoughts. What is the spell look like when she's casting it?
She puts her hands on her hips and leans forward and just glares at the target of the spell, and it's one of those like piercing spotlight glares that just sort of pins you in your tracks. And steam begins to rise from the skin and clothing of the targets. Just intense scrutiny.
Yeah.
So we have Pim holding onto like a fairy balloon, essentially, that's steaming.
Yes.
Yes. So Barb, with that, and with the kind of like her withering kind of under your gaze, under your 522-year-old gaze, if I
77.
77. My apologies. You don't look a day over 522. The things that come to the surface, first pass of detect thoughts is just the surface thoughts, the things that are happening. And what's happening is like, did they find out what happened to the others? Did they we can't let them stop the assembly. Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go warn Karen. That's like the stuff that's on the surface. If you choose, you can double down, and she'll get like a wisdom save against it, but you might get more information as to like motivations or things like that.
Oh, we're doubling down.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll a wisdom save for her. And that is going to be that would be a crit on her wisdom save. So she kind of like shakes you out and is like, "Stop digging around in my mind. Why am I tied up?" But you're able to, you got that first information, kind of what's happening. And like from, like what she was initially thinking, like where her first thoughts went, which is, got to talk to Karen. They can't know what happened to the others, and they can't stop the school assembly.
Okay. So I suggest we tie this person to like one of the sinks, so she's just basically like floating there, and because she can't move because she's tied to like one of the bathroom sinks or something, and we leave her in the bathroom so she can't go warn anybody. So I think that's my first thought.
Should we cover their mouth? I assume they have a mouth.
Oh yeah, I've got a scarf free.
Yes, absolutely.
Why don't we just put a shoe on her? I mean, she's tiny, right? Like just put her on the floor and put a shoe on top of her. Why do we need to bring the sink into this?
Anyone have a spare shoe, Bob, in one of your gigantic bags?
Oh, you know it.
Yeah. What does the shoe look like that she pulls out of her bag?
We have to know the shoe.
Just for a second and brings out like a maroon leather Mary Jane clog.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
Yeah. The most formidable, heftiest murder weapon. And it could be intimidating to this fairy creature, but there is a little part where the heel arch goes up and the heel stacks, so there's the perfect space for a fairy body underneath that.
Absolutely. So you kind of pin her to the ground with this clog. Another scarf goes in the mouth, and one tied around it, I'm assuming, kind of to keep her there, still kind of lassoed. Maybe still, tied to the sink just for, kind of a belt and suspenders sort of situation, just to be safe. And you've successfully taken a captive and stored them in a bathroom, but gotten some valuable intel. Where will you all head next?
As we leave, I do want to write out of order on the bathroom. Just like in Sharpie.
That seems wise. That seems wise. You know, you don't know when Jasper does his rounds, or kind of yeah. But okay, so you write out of order, put it on there. Excellent, an excellent note. Marvelous. Okay, where are you all headed next?
Has the assembly started?
The assembly's starting right now. Yes.
So we assume that Dr. Thornfellow is out of her office. Should we head over to her office?
Ooh, I'm torn between heading to her office or just straight up confronting. But keep in mind also, Poe loves drama, so so there's a smart way and there's Poe's way, and Poe's way is just going to find Karen and knocking her out.
I do like that direct approach, Poe, but I think in this occasion maybe stealth and is going to be a little bit more fruitful for us. What do you think?
I like the idea of we could swing by very quickly to see if there's anything that we see that like is telling us something about what's going to happen in the assembly. But I also like the idea of us just going to the assembly and not immediately, but like see if we can get any information about like what's going to happen to everyone there, because I'm guessing something horrible. And then
that's true. There might be something that's stashed in the office. So let's swing by there and then head to the assembly. And then we can do like a quick sweep of the office. And also like mainly Poe's just like, oh, I did see some of those gilded bones that I might be able to like swipe and get something out of this stupid job.
Yeah, the paycheck's looking less and less likely.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have that same.
Like when you kill the principal, you become the principal.
That's how principals become principals.
Like there are magical rules in place, and rituals. It's hard to say. So okay, so what I'm hearing is kind of like heading towards the Dr. Thornfellow's office there.
Yeah.
As Barb pulls a large black cat out of one of her bags.
Just a snack, Just
full.
Poe's like
Alf Gordon Shumway style, like eating a cat.
Oh my!
Even white, honestly.
Yeah. Excellent. So you all head to Dr. Thornfellow's office. Cesta's desk is empty, essentially. They're kind of also at the assembly, and you're confronted by that door with the skull handle and kind of the tinted purple kind of glass. What do you do with the door?
Can I try and pick it with my very, very kind of elaborate quill that I have in my attaché?
Absolutely. A sleight of hand check.
17.
Yeah. You are able to successfully kind of pick the lock with a click. It opens, and you see her office laid out before you.
Okay. So
then, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for Mr. Pym is looking for anything to references this Karen person.
Yeah.
So can I rifle around the I assume there are going to be drawers in her desk.
Mm-hmm. There are drawers in her desk. What you do find, go ahead and give me an investigation check here.
8.
What you see is one, Dr. Thornfellow has not embraced modern technology at all. So like everything is paper records, including like paper correspondence, no email or anything. And it's a lot of it. So like you might need some help in looking through that if you want to find anything. So does anybody want to assist Mr. Pym in searching that desk?
I'm concerned about a paycheck, so I want to use my forgery kit to like make sure that we get paid by the end of this.
All right. So yeah, I'll let you choose between sleight of hand or deception here to roll on the forgery kit for your paychecks.
Okay, I'm just rolling a deception, so I got a 25. We're getting paid, baby. It doesn't matter what we do after this. I'm knocking out Karen.
So, yeah, I think flawless penmanship, replicating kind of the signature of Dr. Thornfellow on like old-fashioned checkbook that's still like kind of how they're handling payroll here, and you all each have your paychecks. Does anybody, does Coach or Barb help Dr. Pym, Mr. Pym search the desk?
Oh yeah, Coach will get in there. He's very impressed with the lock picking.
Okay.
Will either give the help action or look himself.
Let's call it the help action, and Mr. Pym, if you want to roll again.
Mm-hmm. Solid 9.
So, as helpful as Coach is being, there's something about the tension between them that's a little distracting in a way that I think maybe Mr. Pym hasn't had to deal with in a while. And
it's bubbling over.
If you've ever like had a crush on somebody and you're like trying to like do something with them, and it's like you're like, what movie did we watch? I don't know. Like it's entirely like their elbow brushed mine for a second, and sort of like a younger feeling than you might anticipate. What is Barb doing in the room right now?
Barb is just sort of hanging out and watching everyone. She's a little tired. She's not gonna lie. But she does have another shoe, mate to the one that we used to pin the fairy in the bathroom, and she is ready to just clock Karen. Should
that's good enough. Okay, so she's ready with a shoe. With the clocking clog, if you will. We've got you all are in there. You've got the desk. You've got the shelves with like the books and the gilded bones, and you've got the small kind of religious shrine is what you've got. So the desk, it's just like there's so much correspondence in there, and it's like it's well filed, but to a system that's just like not. It's orthogonal to your thinking. Like is trying to figure that out, and some of it's in like languages you don't like it's really. So the desk is a little bit of a bust. Oh wait.
Barb knows those languages. Barb can comprehend language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if Barb casts comprehend language, then I'll say that there's Barb, give me a perception check, if you will.
Okay. Two. Dang it!
I was gonna say,
No.
it's very, very understandable. One is that it's clear that the first thing that you pick up is that Dr. Thornfellow has been writing erotica, and like in Orcish, which is just a swarthy language in a lot of ways. Like it's very Anglo-Saxon, kind of a not swarthy. Swarthy is the wrong word. It's very kind of terse and impactful language.
Like grunting.
A lot of grunting and things like that. And so immediately, like your attention, like that's the first thing that you pick up, and the first thing you understand the comprehend languages, and it's riveting. And so like a little distracted around that. So that's happening. But what does Mr. Pym look at next? With the desk being a little bit of a bust for him.
Can I investigate this shrine thing that is going on in this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's hope my investigation proves to be better than
Sure.
it has been. No. It is a solid 2. I'm
Still-
just so flustered. Mr. Pym is like the feathers are just kind of continually rippling. So just absolutely nervous about what Coach is going to think, and
Yeah.
just not good.
Beefed
I will
it.
take. I'll take from anybody else. I'll take either. I'll take an Arcana check or a religion check. If anybody wants to take a look at the shrine, like seeing the things that Mr. Pym is like looking at also seems to draw the attention. Like you're like, okay, man, the stuff.
I'm seeing everybody's rolls. It's so bad. It's so bad.
We just had 2 2s, a 3, and a 1 rolled on all of this. I have to only imagine that Barb has been starting to read the erotica aloud. Is what I'm imagining here. Yeah. So I think really like. Oh yes, go ahead.
I'd just like to read a passage, if I may.
Please do. Yes.
The erotica. Okay. His claw slowly caressed her lumpy, hardened skin. Everything was brown. Everything was brown, but turning a mottled green as they both became excited.
Yes.
I'll stop there because I can tell it's titillating.
Yeah. It's true. Slight flush on the yeah. So distracting, and it's just like it seems like maybe the office might be a little bit of a bust for you all. I will say that at that moment, through the little like swinging door comes Belvedere, the skeleton cat, comes out, kind of looks around at all of you, and kind of tail low, like kind of starts to kind of slink away. Looks more afraid than like angry, and it, like with the little tiny kind of iron bell clanging at its on its collar. Yeah. Do you all do anything?
Guys, I think we got to go to the assembly.
I think the jig is up. I think some weird magic. I think Belvedere's like, I don't know. I think they're linked in some ways. So I think we get it's clocking time.
Well, just in case, Barb has a small animal trap in her bag.
Mm-hmm.
And so she reaches out and then just grabs Belvedere by the place his scruff would be.
Yep, just the spine. Just spine.
Hook the collar, just to grabbing the spine directly, shoves the cage and puts the cage away.
As you touch Belvedere's collar, there is a shiver that runs through you, and the flicker, as very similarly to that kind of binding roots that you saw around the students in your class earlier today, as though they might be linked in some sense.
Ooh.
Okay, interesting.
If anybody wants to roll a follow-up, like Arcana check on that to get more information, you're very welcome to.
I can do that. 19.
Yeah.
Hey.
Coach still a little flustered, but Pym regaining his composure as he does. What you would know is that, like most grand workings, large spells require a focus of some sort, and sometimes that is, if there's something that you can bind into like a creature as well. Sometimes that amplifies that energy. Living creature for certain sorts of spells, unliving creatures for other sorts of spells, spiritual creature, and what you would surmise is like that there is some sort of larger working that is bound into like this into Belvedere by this collar.
Can we
he's coming to the assembly with us.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Or could we just take the collar?
Okay, can I roll
he's
for?
already in my bag, so I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
You got the whole cat and the collar.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
That's true.
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So you all head to the assembly. Is that where we're going there?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're
Okay.
full on.
Excellent.
And Poe's so ready to kick down a door.
So you all kind of go up to the assembly. From outside, you hear this kind of chanting that's happening, and then there are there are the doors leading into it. These kind of large, oak doors that are carved all over with kind of um, uh, just carved over with kind of like bas relief, kind of friezes of different scenes from the school's history. Yeah, you're right outside.
Okay, is it door kicking time? Uh, can I roll for like athletics?
Yeah, you can absolutely roll for athletics to kick the door in.
Can I prepare to go into a barbarian rage because I can sense like this is
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Do you want to just say that? Okay, that's great. Poe winds up, uh, kicks out with. Remind me, is Poe wearing like a heeled boot? I
Yeah.
was trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kicks out, and the door kind of swings in just a little bit, and then just comes back. Like like you kind of misjudged the amount of space that you had to like kick it in, and and so you just had enough to kind of like it just kind of like wavers a little bit. Also appears to be unlocked. So
Should have checked the handle.
It's open, everyone. It's open.
all right, do you all enter? All right.
Yes.
You open the doors, and before you, you see up on the stage Dr. Thornfellow, which at this point some part of her has been shed or relaxed, and all the more you see that like the skin is not just like her skin is not just tight, but it seems like kind of stretched over something, and the for some of you who have kind of keener eyesight can see kind of these very vividly green flames kind of in her eye, like these eye sockets that don't have any other eye in them. And she is chanting something which I think let's see if Lianna's still got like kind of comprehend languages up, or if Barb does, then would recognize as like kind of abyssal, like a language that's certainly used in some sort of more darker conjurings. And then around her arrayed are these parent teacher aides, with Karen Bisbee kind of at the center, and she like Dr. Thornfellow seems to be channeling something through Karen, as she kind of stands before her. The others kind of with linked hands around them, and all of them wearing kind of this like pin, this kind of gold pin on their kind of lapels or chests of like MFS. So, and then the students 201 are still leaning forward, as though being like kind of drawn forward, like almost like on their toes, utterly silent, and you feel like waves of energy kind of pouring out from the stage. What would be your next move?
Oh. Can I just Leroy Jenkins this thing?
Yes.
Okay, so like the tension between Mr. Pym and Coach is just like all bubbling up. Mr. Pym goes into a barbarian rage, takes the javelin out that was also in his attaché case in that secret compartment next to the cheese and chutney sandwiches, and just launches it at Dr. Thornfellow, aiming squarely for the head.
Okay, all right. While that happens, I need to know what everybody else is doing as well. Tell me what happens in this moment while you have the benefit of surprise.
So I make a beeline for Karen because like she got Poe got uncommonly quite focused on knocking Karen out. So she's made a beeline for Karen to basically like see if she can like swipe at her.
Okay, so let's see. How are you? Yeah, how are you attacking her? When we're looking at, if we take a look at your actions, looks like you've
So I
got
think
your cat
cat's
claws.
claws. Yeah, I think cat's claws and just like just straight across the face just to stop whatever this is, and also it seems really fun to poet in a moment.
Okay, all right. So, okay, hold on to that thought.
Yeah.
And all right, and then what is Coach doing?
Coach is trying to cast a spell on Dr. Thornfellow, and
Okay.
he is trying to cast Command,
Okay,
Ooh.
all right.
which is
Okay.
a one-word command to a creature you can see within range, and how far away
Mhm.
we are. And they have to succeed on a wisdom saving throw
Mhm.
or follow the command on its next turn.
Yep. And what
shit, is-
word?
Oh, I would say stop.
Stop. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that that works well. And then what is Barb doing in this moment?
Barb has a couple of options at her disposal, and
Mhm.
she kind of thinks like she's gonna see where she's needed most.
Okay.
She's probably going to cast Ray of Frost on Dr. Thornfellow.
Sure.
But I believe someone else is already in the middle of attacking Dr. Thornfellow.
We're gonna resolve these kind of all at once, so it's gonna
Okay.
be, we're gonna see how big a splash that you all make. So we've got Coach telling her to stop. We've got Poe trying to like scratch up Karen's face. We've got Pim hurling the javelin at Thornfellow, and then following it up with you said Ray, Ray of Frost or Magic. Oh no, Ray of Frost. You said Ray of Frost. All right, at her. So I'm going to need an attack roll from everybody but Coach on their. So if you take a look for, let's see, for Lianna, if you click to your actions, I think. Let's see if that's listed under your actions here. Yes, there's a +5 next to that Ray of Frost. You roll that. Let me know what you hit. Yeah, let me know what you come out with.
8.
Okay. And then all right, and then I need an attack roll from Mr. Pin.
I get a 22.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you didn't need Barb.
You go ahead. You go ahead and roll some damage for that. Don't tell me yet, but roll damage for that. Or I guess you can tell me. I guess we don't have to make it more.
9.
Okay. Excellent. I need. Do you see where your cat claw attack is, Naj? On your. Okay.
Yeah. So I got a 14 to hit.
Okay. All right. And you can go ahead and roll damage on that.
5.
Okay. 5 damage to Karen. And then let me roll that wisdom saving throw for. Actually, there's a couple rolls I need for Thornfellow to make. She's going to roll a wisdom saving throw. Okay. Let's see. And then your spell DC, I think, is Coach Legamore is okay. Is a 12. Okay. Cool. And then we've got. No, I think that's I think that's everybody then. So what ends up happening, right? All at once. The first thing that arrives there is, because sound, is Coach's command to stop, which Dr. Thornfellow pauses, mouth open, and just freezes as the command spell takes hold. rolled a natural 1 as a point of fact on that saving throw. Then shortly thereafter, to be followed by a javelin straight to the head, as it clunks kind of into what seems like a lot of bone, and kind of like lodges briefly in her forehead before kind of falling out, leaving kind of a stigmata style, actually just kind of a bloodless hole in the middle of her forehead. Out of which dark necromantic energy begins to spill in like a dog, kind of green fire, begins to kind of like sputter out of that. In the same moment, Poe comes up, scratching Karen right across her very perfect face, and she kind of like winces and kind of pulls away from Dr. Thornfellow, who's already stopped, and in that moment, also a whiff of cold air goes right by Dr. Thornfellow's head, and making everyone a little chilly on stage for a brief moment. In that moment, there's a certain sudden stirring kind of from the audience and from the children as like the ritual stops for a moment, and you see them start to kind of like shake things off, and since I will need everybody to roll initiative for me. So that'll be kind of right next to in between your I think speed and armor class. We got, okay, let me go. Okay, I got a 7 for Poe.
17 for Mr. Pym.
Gosh, you need to
Wait,
go to
where is
Vegas.
I know, right?
This never usually happens to me. I'm convinced when I use real die, that's when I just fail. If I use this system, for some reason, it loves me.
Barb's got a 19, it looks like, and then what do we got for Coach?
Wait, Coach, we
Oh
can't hear you.
man.
Oh yeah, we couldn't hear you if you said anything.
So sorry. I got a 4.
Oh, 4. Okay, yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
Legs, guys.
all good. Okay, I'm just gonna order these real quick and insert I pre-rolled some initiative for these particular folks, and we'll see where they fit in. All right. All right. And good. Thank you for giving me just a moment. Yeah, excellent. And Abernathy, you knocked out. You got Puck tied up in the other place there, and so we have excellent, marvelous. Let's see. So Barb, you were first up. You get to decide what you do next. So here's the situation. You've got a wounded Thornfellow, a wounded Karen. You've got Ms. Abernathy and what was it? And yeah, just Ms. Abernathy up there. Yeah, she's the other Mothers of Sovereignty. She's up there as well, and she's unharmed thus far. What would you like to do next?
Well, considering that Ray of Frost really let me down, I'm thinking about Magic Missile, which is guaranteed to damage.
Sure, yeah, let's do that.
I'm also attracted to the Grease spell. because I love to see them all slipping and sliding around on stage and bumping into each other. And then maybe, as is in my notes, I can set the grease on fire.
Yeah, potentially. So would you? That seems like you're leaning a little more towards that. Am I hearing like a grease kind of thing? All right.
Yeah.
So what does it look like when? What does it look like when Barb casts grease on the stage?
It's a little uncomfortable to watch. Not gonna lie. Barb closes her eyes really tight and starts to sort of squeeze, and just begins to sort of excrete what looks like over, and then it sort of coalesces into a ball in the air in front of her, and then she like flicks it at the area that she wants it to go to.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and it hits, and it kind of squelchily kind of explodes across like the three of them up on stage, and in each of them we'll need to make a saving throw here, which I will do. Good for Thornfellow, and that's a 4, and got okay. Karen is a 13. And for Abernathy, it's a 2. So let's see. And then reminding me of your spell difficulty check. Reminding myself of that. 13. So Karen is Karen's just like, she's worn heels her whole life, and she is used to unsteady ground and be able to kind of navigate that gracefully. So she kind of slides around for a second, but kind of catches herself, still kind of like one hand pressed to like the cat claw wounds across her face. Then Dr. Thornfellow, kind of even kind of as sturdy as she is, like kind of slides and slips and kind of falls over, as does Abernathy. And then Poe, I also need one from you because you up there and within range of the grease spell. So you also a greasy little cat.
Oh no! What do I need to roll?
Roll a dexterity saving throw for me.
Okay, not a problem. Here we go. Sorry, wait, I rolled the wrong thing. So dexterity. Not a problem. 14.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And as one might imagine of a cat, like is able to kind of like stay on their feet. That's great. Marvelous. Barb, do you move any closer to the stage? Do you stay where you are? Do you try to move, like hide behind something?
Nah, I don't hide. I'm just gonna stay where I am. I kind of like my defensive position near the back of the room.
Does she have her other shoe in hand at the moment?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
It's a little greasy now, but
as it kind of would be. Pim, you are up.
So I can I throw while hovering?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Okay.
It seems cool.
So yeah, and can I double? Can I, because I've got 2 hand axes, and I'm just gonna go all out and want to throw both of those while hovering about 5 feet above. So I don't want to hit the children. While I don't like teaching children, I still don't want to beat children.
Yeah, no, you don't want to embed hand axes in children, and that's a reasonable thing, really, in many regards.
Yeah.
Who are you aiming at?
I am aiming at still going after the good doctor there.
Okay, excellent. So I need 2 attack rolls then from you.
Okay.
One for each hand axe. We'll call it kind of 2-weapon fighting here.
Oh dear. We have a 6 and a 19.
Hey.
Okay. Second one hits. First one with your offhand, right? Like it's, like you're throwing them like one and then the other. The first you throw kind of is Pim right-handed or left-handed, or right-winged or left-winged?
Pim is very much left-winged, right-winged. I don't know if that sounds quite right, but either way, prefers the use of the right appendage.
Yeah, that's good. And so, left appendage, kind of a whiff. Right appendage hits. Go ahead and roll damage for that.
Oh dear, it's a 4.
Yeah, that's all right. That's a So takes kind of like a chunk out of her shoulder. that kind of like call it a deep crease in the pantsuit. Again, no blood coming out, but is kind of embedded in there. Do you want to? So you're flying up in the air.
Yes.
And anything else on? Well, you've used all your actions. Actually, that's everything that you can do right now. Excellent. So Dr. Thornfellow, having kind of gets up and kind of takes the hand axe and kind of takes it out and tosses it a little distastefully. It says, "This is quite unorderly. I don't care for it. I don't care for your tone, and I find this all to be rather rude." And so, with that, she casts. What does she cast? All right, I need. I need Barb and Coach and Pim to all roll Constitution saving throws.
18.
Okay, that's a save.
16.
That's a save. Okay.
14.
Also a save. Okay, all right.
Hey.
She utters a word that makes your bowels writhe for a moment, and yet you are able, thankfully, to shake it off. Well rolled, all of you, because that
Nice.
would have been a little nasty. Would be good. Karen then she also then tries to kind of like make her way, backs up kind of out of the grease in order to do that. Although I'm going to remind myself if I need to look at grease again real quick just to make sure I'm remembering that correctly. Un momento. Okay. Nope. Yeah. So she's able to kind of like back her way out of the grease and kind of get to the back of the stage. Karen then stands up. Or no, she was still standing. She was still, and she, she's like, "I did not ask for a facial from you," and turns to Poe and takes out takes out like what looks like kind of a nail file, but as she like pulls it out of her purse, it becomes longer and skinnier and like sharper, and like this massive kind of nail file, and strikes out to stab at you. That's going to be a 16 to hit. Your armor class is
13.
Yeah, so it hits. So she sticks it into your gut, and you will take 8 points of damage there.
Jeez.
As she like kind of like twists it a little bit. She then will also try to like back up out of the grease. As she leaves, like being close to you, you get to take another swipe at her if you want. Will you go ahead and roll another like claw attack there?
Could I do an unarmed strike, or does it have to be cat's claw?
Well, it doesn't have to be a cat claw. I think cat claw's like slightly stronger for you. I could be wrong there.
That's true, actually. Yeah, let me go for a cat's claws.
Okay.
Come on, baby. It's 16 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll damage.
1.
So just like a little nick on the way out. Yeah, just a little nick. As she kind of like backs up, kind of next to Dr. Thornfellow. Abernathy, Ms. Abernathy kind of gets up, and she in turn like kind of like gets up, kind of like grooms her beard for a second with a hand, kind of wipes some grease off of it and kind of flicks it distastefully to one side, looks at her kind of nails, and then points at Barb and says like, "Now that's entirely enough of that," and tells you to drop. So like I need you to roll a wisdom saving throw. She casts command on you. It's very similar to what Coach did, the same thing that Coach did to Thornfellow. So Barb rolls a 19.
19,
totally
baby.
unaffected by this. Like is not impressed.
Unbothered.
And Abernathy tries to move out of the range of the grease. Her speed isn't quite enough to get outside of it, though, so she's still in the grease. The other two are just outside of it. And next up, we have Poe. Poe, you're up.
Okay, so Poe, can I use? So okay, can I ask where we're at? Are we on like a school like stage situation?
Yes, school stage. There's a
And
podium.
are there like sacks like in the sort of rafters for?
Well, such a good question to ask. Are you like ballast sacks for like theater? Is that
Yeah.
what we're thinking, kind of
Yeah.
thing? Absolutely, there are. Absolutely, there are ballast
Okay.
sacks up there.
Okay, so I'm thinking I use like mage hand to like
Okay.
drop one of these sacks on wherever Thornfellow and Karen are like standing, because
Yeah,
I think they're
for sure.
standing next to each other.
I love it. I love it. Let's do
Okay.
that. I'll have. We'll say that you do that, and I'm going to have them roll dexterity saving throws to see if they're able to dodge it or not.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a 4 for Thornfellow. Not the most agile. And a 15. 15 for Carrie. Karen's able to like again, a life of a woman in
nemesis.
heels.
Yeah.
Just is able to kind of like sway out of the way, like the same woman who's like navigated bar scenes like this. It's like absolutely gotten past. Thornfellow though takes a full fucking sack of sand directly to the face, just conking her on it. I'm going to go ahead and roll the damage for that, which we're going to call, I think I'm going to call it like a 2d8 here, because that's a hefty. Yeah, she's hurting like that. It conks into her pretty hard. Excellent. So Poe, you are still in the grease. Do you want to move out of the grease, or are you staying where you are? What would you like to do?
I'm gonna like try and like slowly, get out of the grease.
All right.
Yeah.
So, are you moving closer to them, or are you moving to the side or back?
I'm going to move closer to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So moving up closer to them, getting within. You'll need to be within melee range of all three of them if you move out of it that way. So,
Okay.
just noting that.
Okay, sure.
So you're getting in close quarters with all three of them. Coach, you're up.
All right. There are the three of them are on the edge of grease, right?
Yep.
Cool. I want to
Abernathy's still in the grease. The other two are right outside of it.
Yes, I want to go. If I have enough movement, I want to go right up to Thornfellow, and I want to. Not sure how this didn't set off the metal detector earlier, but I guess I just forgot. Pull out my water.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to make an attack on Thornfellow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll say like, we could say that your giant water bottle is your warhammer, like that you're just using it as a bludgeon, kind of like we'll call it that. I think that's so. Absolutely. So, you attack Thornfellow with a warhammer. Go ahead and attack there.
All right, that's a 19.
Yes.
That absolutely fucking hits. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna roll some damage. I might use Divine Smite on this too.
Seems wise.
Yeah, so that's a 5. Or no, it's an 8 because it's 1d8 plus 3, and then Divine Smite, expend a spell slot to deal 2d8 extra radiant damage to the target plus 1d8 for each spell level higher than first. I'll do 2d8. I can't figure out my spell level.
2d8 is great. It's it's going to be a nice amount of damage there.
Great.
Let's see.
Is there a place for?
If you click the dice at the bottom left, and then you click on the d8 twice, that'll roll 2d8.
Oh, sick! Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Roll 1, roll 2,
and then.
Oh, that's so neat.
That's cool.
All right, 12 more.
12 more? Yeah. What does it look like when you cave in her skull? Is the answer I'm looking for here. With your massive water bottle.
First thing that, just for style, I am going to say that as I run over there, I do take one last little swig off that big.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And I just beeline for her, trying to run around the grease again. It's so big, it's basically a crossbody bag.
Yeah.
Have the strap, and I'm just whirling it, getting it ready to go, and then running right after and going like, donk.
Absolutely. With a large hollow conking sound, much like two coconuts being smashed together, like the remnants of her sand covered, like kind of like hole in the middle of the forehead, necromantic energy leaking out, kind of thing, hits. The skull caves in completely. Green flames pour out
Oh my god.
of her skull, setting on fire the grease in front of her. Uh, Catching like absolutely catching Abernathy like in the midst of this kind of green like necromantic flame that's like the backlash of like all of the ritual going wrong. Abernathy goes up in flames. Karen is still up and going, and Barb, it is now your turn.
Well, the pressure's on, isn't it? My God. Okay. I'm not gonna cast Ray of Frost because I want them to stay up here.
Yeah.
I'm going to cast Magic Missile again.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So with that, what you do is if you go to the little magic missile entry on your spells tab has just a little damage thing next to it. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you just click that.
The little 1d4 plus
yeah,
1.
you'll click that 3 times.
Okay, I clicked it 3 times.
Oh. Let's see. I can also roll it for you real quick if it's helpful.
I think only 2 rolls came through. Is that what's happening?
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't see. You tell me what you saw.
4, 3, 5.
Okay. So what do Barb's magic missiles look like? Like this is specific to Barb's magic style, like something representative of her. Are they 3 tiny clogs flying like at the enemy? Like, is that what's happening? You tell me.
I love the idea of tiny clogs, but I think they are paper airplanes from literature textbooks.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they go winging out, slamming kind of into Karen's body as you are doing this, and as you kind of continue to hear kind of students kind of like shaping off this kind of torpor and of obedience and order. Marvelous. Do you do anything else? Do you move around at all? Do you stay where you are?
At this point, I don't mind getting a little closer because I like to see the effects of my work.
Yeah. Green flames still raging. Karen immediately behind them, pierced by these paper airplanes, and Pim is up.
I fly up to the rafters because I'm there. Can I just like launch myself into a headbutt into Karen?
Yes.
Yes, you can absolutely do that. We're going to call it...
like a feathery cannonball.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that like a unarmed?
Here's the deal. This is what we're going to do. Let's see. Under your actions, we're gonna treat it as an unarmed strike, but I'm gonna have you roll extra damage because you're dropping onto her, right? Like you're doing that. You're gonna take some damage too, like because you're not trying to fly at this point. You're just like you're flying to a point, and then you're just like using your velocity. So I'll let you I'll roll extra damage if you take extra damage. Are you good with that?
That sounds great.
All right, go ahead and roll. Yeah, your unarmed strike.
8.
Pim comes down hard.
You saw, you caught like Coach's eye on the way down.
Absolutely, like it comes down hard. Barely misses Karen and just slams into the remains of the middle of Thornfellow, just into the sort of sandy, bony guts of all of that. You do take 11 points of damage, but you're raging, so that's halved. So you just take 5.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Nice.
I can just shake off my wings because like it's all gross and yucky now.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dr. Thornville's dead. Karen, um, seeing what's happening, like turns like, and is like, I would very much like to speak to a manager about this, um, but I see that the administrator is dead, and my friend is on fire, and you all seem to have the upper hand here. Um, so maybe we could just come to an agreement and I could just leave, perhaps. There's no need for this to get any uglier than this pile of rotting undead flesh next to me that was once Thornfellow, I suppose. We can, yeah. Can't we come to an agreement?
I think Coach, just to throw it out there, is really aware that presumably Abernathy and Karen's children are in this room. Like we are maybe like killing people in front of their children. So like seems maybe willing to consider this. I'll throw that out.
Yeah.
That's actually a good call. I don't want to be adopting any kids.
Oh God, no! Imagine the kids just running loose in the libraries. That would be horrors.
So and what does Barb think about this idea?
Barb is torn because she likes to finish what she starts, but she
Classically, yeah,
really doesn't like the idea of having teenagers in her house, and does feel like that would be the ethically responsible thing to do. When you kill their parents, you kind of have to deal with them. Barb is willing to strike a deal so that we can all go home in time to watch Jeopardy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's great. There's a great version of Jeopardy in the magical world that's just called Danger, and it is like you have to not only kind of answer in the form of a question, but it has to be kind of like rhetorically phrased in a very specific way, or otherwise like a series of physical hazards arrive in order to kind of take it in.
Is it presented by Alex Trebek, who is essentially an ent?
I love Danger.
Yeah, Alex Trebek is just an amazing host, and everybody loves him. So with that, we'll kind of bring combat to kind of a close as the students start kind of stirring around. Abernathy is still alive, just badly burned, and Karen is kind of tottering kind of back and forth, and is kind of it tries to brush her clothes off. There's nothing, you can't, it's kind of destroyed. So okay, well, I'm glad you all could see reason, of course. And what should I do now?
I think you should leave.
Yeah.
I will do that. I will leave right now. I will take I'll take Catherine to the magical emergency room. I suppose seems like a responsible thing to do. And I will do. Yeah, I'll just make my way. And so she kind of gathers up, kind of bundles up Ms. Abernathy, Catherine Abernathy, and they start to walk off the stage. You have still kind of a green fire raging around you in the grease puddle. Thornfellow's remains continue to kind of smolder and kind of burn. You've got the students kind of starting to kind of sort of cheer. They're just they think that something good happened, but it was a little hard to tell. Also, they're very self-conscious teenagers who maybe are I'm not going to be the first one to cheer. If somebody else does, maybe. And so it's very half-hearted. There's somebody tries to start a slow clap, and it just it goes nowhere. It just kind of dies off. And but you successfully stopped the plot. to ensorcel these children as much as you kind of understand what happened there. How do you all feel?
Well, Poe feels good because Poe ensured that we all got paid by this entire fiasco.
The very practical concern.
and had fun doing it, and that's all you can ask for from a job.
Mr. Pym is wondering if this is the opportunity for something new, considering all of what has been going on today with Coach. So this might be the dawning of a new chapter for Mr. Pym and his humble librarian roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about Coach? How's Coach feeling?
Like combination, super satisfied. Really didn't expect to accomplish this much today.
Mm-hmm.
Make all these new friends. Encounter the experience of having what is both a school crush and a work crush.
I know, right?
Yes.
That's like, I think very. I don't know that he's like cracked the like, I don't know, like cracked that one open yet. Like it's definitely there, and he's like, oh, this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he like. I think truthfully, after all, like in the moments after this happens and they walk away, he just yells, question everything at all. Only a medium amount of conviction. It's like, there should be a moral here, maybe. But I think at this point he's kind of just thinking, do I come back here tomorrow? Like,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good. What about Barb? How's Barb feeling?
Believe it or not, this is not even close to the craziest day that Barb has had.
Again, 577 years, lots of life experiences.
Yeah. It is the worst food, though.
Yeah.
So she's probably going to go back to the bathroom to get her shoe, and then her burger drive-through on the way home.
Yeah. So as you all kind of clean yourselves up and kind of gather things, one is that I think Coach in specific gets suddenly a magical kind of letter informing him that by right of combat he is now the school administrator. So and that he has full kind of hiring and firing and like all the kind of school administrator kind of responsibilities to do with as he will. What does he do with them?
Oh, he panics because if he has hiring and firing authority over Mr. Pym,
it does also note that it can be, you can choose to cede that authority to someone else if you want.
Great. Okay. Thank God. That is, he's really, really in it with that immediately.
Okay. So who does he cede it to then? Probably not Mr. Pym because, again,
I don't, Barb, I don't know what your plans are. You're a pretty competent person, and none of this seemed to faze you. And I think that's really important if you are going to administer a school. And you seem to really know how to just do your job in a way that none of these other folks, like none of these other administrators, none of these PTO people, I feel like you could handle it if the PTO tried to come back.
I'm so honored. For the same salary, I'm delighted. Thank you. We'll talk about it at our next meeting for sure.
Marvelous. Okay, so and in the aftermath of all of this, Barb does become the school administrator and chooses, whether or not she kind of keeps on the others or kind of encourages them in other directions. Mr. Pym and Coach maybe go on a coffee, just something light, just to sort of see what happens.
Yes.
Poe follows them to the coffee shop
Yeah.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
tries to hide in the corner.
Yeah. Pose in the corner of the coffee shop looking at them through a newspaper with the eye holes cut out.
Yes, absolutely. And then probably like texting Barb all the details,
Yeah.
like kind of keeping the gossip chain alight. Barb goes on to also finish Thornfellow's erotica and publishes it to great aplomb. Mr. Pym is able to fill out the library with all the books that he thinks are necessary, but also makes himself in sort of like a armored fortress of books as an office, and has other people deal with the public, like with the kids in order to make that. And we bring our time to a close. So thank you all very much for participating.
Yay!
For Elba.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Amazing work, Logan.
Yeah.
That was incredible. So
Good time.
much fun, exhilarating.
So yeah. Thank you to everyone who joined us for this journey. I know we ran a little longer than anticipated, but we couldn't cut out all these good bits,
Oh no. Not at all.
So thank you for hanging with us and for joining and for helping us to support Girls Who Code. Naj, over to you.
All right, so yes, that brings us to the end. Thank you everyone who watched, who donated, who spread the word even. Thank you so much to my friends. You guys were amazing. And hopefully we can do this again. So for now, I'm gonna say bye.